Are we live?
We are now.
I didn't hear the beep.
Oh, no. They just changed a bunch of things in Hangouts. So with that, there are a lot of really cool new things that everyone's learning right now. So yeah. So we're live now. We're live now. I just had to set it up for them.
Hello. It's the INNERMIX show, Hangouts. Welcome.
Hey, I'm Simply D.
This is Jules.
And you guys are rocking with us for the next, I don't know, hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how this show goes. This, we want to just tell you guys right off the bat that we have a couple of announcements that we need to make, and we have, basically just a bunch of announcements, or not a bunch, maybe like 3, and then, and then we're going to dive into the usual course of the show. But before we do that, because we're going to do that in a second, but I know we're like 2 minutes late, and I'm trying to work on being on time. Well, with this, because when you hang out with people, you just hang out. And you know what? I started going back and looking at some of the other shows, so let me say this first, okay? We are so happy to be here on Hangouts right now, and you guys are, the only way to say it is freaking awesome. I can't even say awesome anymore. You guys are freaking awesome, because I got a chance to look at what you guys were doing with our shows and snippets and taking pieces here and there and putting them, to help inspire your friends to feel better about their lives and all that. So thank you very much for that. Our overseas audience is sick. And I may not understand what you be saying half the time, but I do appreciate that you're saying it, because I get a lot of smiley faces and stuff. So that's great. But we saw. I was looking through the YouTube, not on our actual Hangouts page, but I was looking on the YouTube page, and one second, y'all. Everybody's trying to still keep up. Okay, so. So I was looking on the YouTube page, and I saw that there was a question from last week's show that didn't pop up on our screen. So we're going to take time at the beginning of the show to answer that question so that we can move on fresh into this next thing, because I noticed that this person watched the entire show 3 times. They watched it because they were just so in, and their question was simple, direct, and to the point. And we only had one question that hit the YouTube side, but YouTube and Hangouts, or in Google Plus, let's just say Google Plus, they tried to fuse it all together and make all the comments work back and forth to increase your visibility for your product, right? But it started to cause problems, because sometimes people would write on Hangouts or on Google Plus, and they'd write on YouTube, and what would happen is the comments would cancel each other out, and they wouldn't show up in the other spaces. And a lot of times people wanted to leave their comment for YouTube, and it hit Hangouts, and vice versa. So a lot of times the content creators, which is what we are, would not see the comments. So a lot of times you guys are sending us comments, and we're not seeing them. We're not seeing them until after the show has ended, and we do our best to try to reply to each and every comment, because every comment that makes sense is just, we appreciate
it's important.
it.
Yeah.
It's very important. And I'm sorry, you guys. Talk to Jules for a minute. I gotta check something out real quick.
So yes. I don't know where Dee was going with that, but yes, it's very important. We love that your feedback is on our pages. We will eventually, hopefully, we will see it during the show, but it doesn't always happen, like Dee said. For some reason, there's a lag or miscommunication here and there, via the stupid sites. But eventually, we will get back to you.
So
today.
Yeah, like we do, we respond to almost every question. If it's a line of questions, then you guys will get your name mentioned in the one answer that answers all the questions that were the same question. But we want you all to be acknowledged personally, because you took the time to ask the question. We take the time to answer the question whenever possible. Sometimes it's just a lot, but we do what we can. Now, saying that, I'm also saying this. Now you guys can ask your questions directly, and you guys can even vote on whose questions you want answered the most. Like, there are some shows that we have a lot of people who are trying to communicate with us, and we know that you're used to communicating directly through the Facebook thing, and that's not happening anymore. So because that's not happening, our questions, our comments went way, 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 way down, like low, just really low. Okay?
Low.
Just low, okay? Because because it just happens that way when you make changes and you make them like just all of a sudden. So that's what happens, but we roll with it, we deal with it, that's how we do. But we have the Q&A on. So if you guys are watching and you have a question and you don't want to have your face on the screen or whatever, no problem. All you have to do is type it in, and we will see your questions come up, and we will do our best to answer those questions for you relating to the topic. And soon we're going to diversify this. We're going to make the, I don't say podcast, but we're going to make the show a little bit more diverse, because there's a lot of pop culture stuff that you guys are asking about that's making the news and stuff, and you want to know our opinions or takes on certain things that apply to our industry, stuff like that. So we're going to kind of factor that in a bit. So just so that we can address some of these things, like why is this even important? Why do people even talk about these things and all that kind of stuff? So because you guys brought up a really good one on Twitter. So I'm curious to see, so I did a little research, because this stuff that you guys are asking about didn't even become important until like maybe 15 years ago. So, yeah, so we'll address some of that stuff. So this show's kind of jam-packed, but so that's announcement one. We got your comments. We're getting your comments. We're getting back to you about those comments, and we're going to answer one of those questions today that came in on YouTube. And
use the question and answer section or app. Is that what you call it? Question and answer app.
Yeah. There's a question and answer app right here on the screen, so you guys can you'll see it on the right-hand side of your page. You just hit that, or you actually, it's on the right-hand side of our page. I don't, on yours it might look a little different. So, but it's there. Look for it. You'll see it. No problem. The other thing, don't leave comments for us on YouTube for these shows unless you went to YouTube to watch the show, because I do go back and I do look at them, but, how did I say that? Anyway, I do go back and look at them, but primarily people tend to contact us directly here on Google Plus, so that we can have everything kind of put together and make it work that way, and only some of those even get through. So just keep working at it, y'all, and we'll keep working at it as well. Now,
yes.
That's number one. Number two, what was I going to say about number two? Oh, yeah, so number two. I know, I've been trying to organize so many things lately, because it's just been chaotic in my world, but we're about to talk about that in a minute. But I have to get certain things. I just get stuff organized. I need to be organized. But number two, we pay attention to the things that you guys really want to talk about. It means a lot to us that you guys really trust us and want to talk to us. But when the people in the comments start disrespecting, you, the person who has a serious question, reach out to us and we will handle it. Because this is not we don't have this thing going so that you guys can insult each other, because it doesn't work that way, because the only people who are allowed to insult each other on this thing is me and Jules.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just what it is.
That's what the show is about.
Yeah. For the most part. It doesn't happen much, but when I do see it, we start blocking things right away, because that's just not how we get down. And when we joke a lot, but we talk about things on here that are affecting people today, not things that have affected them in the past. There's a lot of times things are affecting people today, or they're walking smack dab into it tomorrow, or it's something they just got through yesterday. So we need to make sure that we respect the fact that people are on their walk, on their journey, and that it's not easy all the time, which is kind of where this show came from. For today. Now, so with that being said, the entirety of that second announcement is we will take care of. We don't deal with rude behavior. We don't do it. We don't permit it. And since it's our show, we can just say what we want about how we're going to deal with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to give people an opportunity to correct behavior, because that's what we're all about on here. But if we see it too many times, you're just blocked. It's just that. And we can actually set it up so where no matter if you try to do it with a new email or whatever, we can identify based on your IP address. Yeah, Google is good. Okay, but if you know how to do business on Google, it's even better. So, so you can create all the accounts you want. You're not getting in if we say you ain't. So that's just what it is. Okay. Now, and that's just just that's how I run my house. If people disrespect my kids, people disrespect my friends, they can't be in my house. It's just how it works. Okay.
Amen.
Amen. So, but they get chances before they get kicked. That's just how I do. Now, unless you hit, but anyway. Uh, Another thing is we are about to do a restructure of the way this show runs, so that you guys can get a little bit more involved with the show, in terms of with more visuals. With we might actually have a theme song at the opening or theme thing at the opening of the show, or at least you guys saw the commercial today that was posted for the show. And thank you for those comments because did it real quick, but had a good time putting that together for you. It's the same way we talk now. It's just talking to you so that while you're waiting for the show to start, you can still watch the commercial about the show. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But now that the show is on, commercial's over. This is the real thing. But we will have some things. You guys will be able to interact with us a lot more. And because you guys are always curious about where we get our data, we are now able to share that information with you on this show via a link. So before the show comes on, from time to time, not every show, because I ain't got that kind of time, but we will have like an archive of links that we will just put into the show. So as we talk about that section of the show, you guys could actually look at the data so that you know that I'm not just making crap up or Jules not making crap up. This stuff is real. Because one thing I'm tired of, and I've realized this week, people not believing me when I say something is real, it is. So now I want you guys to walk it, view it, learn it with me so that, because I read a lot, Jules reads a lot, and we try to do the best we can to give you guys correct data so that, you making statistics up and stuff, that ain't working for me.
Oh, really?
Well, it's one of those things where it's like some people don't believe it because they've never seen it, and I understand that. But see, once like on the radio show, it was different. People went out and did their own research after we did the show, and they were like, and then they'd send us thesis on, or they send us whole things, and one person sent a biography of this person that reminded them of the thing we were talking about, and that was cool. But in a visual space, a lot of times people will just watch, listen, and then they'll have their opinions, but they'll never do the research to figure out if it's true or not. So, but this is not a negative thing. This is what I wanted to let you guys know. Is because sometimes we find the funniest things when we're doing research. Okay, sometimes they're on psychology sites and whatever. But I thought that if we had thought about this sooner, what we would have done is we would have invited you guys to take this little quiz to help out with your with like in stress and relationships, because there's an online quiz that a bunch of psychologists got together to put together, and it would have been hilarious if we had have been all doing that together to see how it came out, or at least me and Jules taking the test live so you guys can watch how it goes down. And so that would have been interesting too. What was that? Okay.
Did you get a text from Mags?
Did I get a text? Maybe I did.
Well, I heard something. Anyway, she's ready. I think she needs to be sent the link again.
I can do that, no prob.
Let's do that. Anyway, happy Monday, everybody. I don't know about where you guys are at, but here, it's hot. It's really hot. And I hope your weekend was amazing. How was your weekend?
You talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you. Who else am I talking to?
You talking to me? My weekend was actually, well, we're gonna talk about that in a second. But my weekend was interesting. I'm trying to remember what the last announcement was, so we get those out the way. Oh. Really, really important. So INNERMIX is going on a 2-week break. So we're gonna be gone for 2 weeks, so that we can get this stuff that we're doing for you guys together, get a little mental break for a hot second. I wanted to let you know that today we've been doing our shows a total of 64 weeks. Well, it's been 64 weeks since we started doing our show. Or actually, sorry, 164 weeks. Whew. And
yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's good. I looked, and with that, we after these 2 weeks off, we will I can tell you that I've done 100. By that point, I will have already done 159 shows. So and that's consistent. Like we're on every Monday, y'all. Okay, so it's something. And so we're gonna take a little bit of a break because I got some things that I just want to. I want time. We need time to get our minds together a bit. We've done like after this show, we will have done 159 shows. That's crazy. And it also means that, hey, Maggie, and it also means that because we've done 159 shows today, that 2 weeks off will allow us to basically be able to think and breathe again.
Yes.
But more so to get back in touch with some of the things that are affecting the community around us. So so that we can actually just take time for our brains to regroup, refunction, or whatever. Because it's funny because we're taking these 2 weeks off, but truly, I just thought about this today. When we come back, I will have preached the day before, so I'm still going to be doing the exact same amount of work to prepare for a church that I'm going to be doing for the show. But no breaks here. But anyway, so but we are doing that. We're taking 2 weeks off, so you guys will not have intermix. You won't have the intermix show for 2 weeks, but we're not going to leave you empty-handed. So we will be posting a couple different videos to inspire you into the direction we're going. We're going to make sure that there's something for you because we don't just leave you high and dry. We take our job very seriously. And to give you an idea of what we're talking about, I'm going to say last summer, we posted a music video from RL and Deborah Cox, and it was basically a song about if we broke up, can we still be friends? Right? That's basically what the song is about. We're still getting responses on that video, and people are saying that should be you guys should really approach that topic. You should talk about this because it's real. It's a real thing people are going through, and they're going through it every day. And so we might come back and address that thing, but we got a couple things we want to bring to you, a couple things we want you guys to see, so that when we come back, we can all have a collaborative conversation about what's going on in the world around us and what's going on within us. So that's all for announcements. Whew. Yeah. So everybody, we got Maggie joining us.
Hello, Maggie.
Hi.
How are you?
It's been so long.
I know, it has.
How are things with you?
Pretty good. I just came back from Comic-Con, so yeah, it was crazy.
How was it?
It was really good. It was a really good experience. There were a lot of really talented designers, but it was kind of nice to be able to see what other people came up with, because it was. So I went to I was a competitor for the first fashion show that Comic-Con held. And
yeah, I saw that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and so there's designers from all different backgrounds. There's designers that or not designers, but some of them are cosplayers, or they just know how to make things, and they just I guess most of them are designers, but so there's amateur designers and also professional designers, and we're all competing against each other for this prize that I think basically it's if you win, you get to design an exclusive collection for Hot Topic that will be sold in stores.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically that was pretty much it. I just went there for the competition, and it was really fun. It was it's so different from costume designing, but it was really fun.
For those of you who have no idea what she's talking about, she went to an event called Comic-Con. It's an annual convention that happens in San Diego. It started out as a geek fest, very small. People who are super into, but it's the truth. I love geeks. I'm a geek myself. So is Dee. And people who loved comic books, comic series, and Sailor Moon and Pokemon and even Star Wars and all those type of things. They would get together and have this convention once a year, totally dressed up, and have different new products, new games that came out, new toys that come out. They show all of those things, and it became this crazy huge publicity event, like where all kinds of walks of life come. It's a 3 or 4 day event. I think it starts on a Thursday and ends on 4 days, right? And it is insane balls. Like every actor that you can think of, pretty much tries to go and show. And usually it's people who are in like some kind of series or movies that have a lot to do with merchandising, to promote their movies and TV shows. But it's a lot of fun. I have yet to go. I'm hoping I get to go one day soon. It was amazing. And Maggie, as our dear friend, she's a costume designer, amazing costume designer at that. And she went this year to showcase one of her designs for a costume that she designed or she made, and it was amazing. So we will post that link, a picture of what she made on our site, on our Facebook page, so you guys can take a look at it. But it's really, really good. She's so talented. We love her, and she's joining the show today. So I'm so happy.
Thanks for the intro.
I was. Well, those of y'all who know me know, like when I'm in prayer, if God puts someone on my mind, I'm gonna reach out. And Maggie was on my mind today, so I was like, well, come on, let's come on to the show. I haven't seen you in forever, so so
I'm super busy.
It's been really busy. Matter of fact, in a couple of weeks we're gonna have another friend of ours come on to the show, Maggie, who actually has been like such a huge INNERMIX fan for a while, and she even co-hosted our radio show with us once, and she was, I think she came on, I think she started talking to us when we had Stephen Yun on the show. So she, but she's actually coming to town in a couple of weeks for KCON. So yeah, so we might, because she actually got a really cool promotion. She's very, very into K-pop culture. So, as a matter of fact, she's actually writing for a paper that deals with that, and she's just been moving up the ranks very quickly. So, and that publication wants to work with INNERMIX as well. So it's a very cool thing. So we're hoping to try to link up with her when she comes into town, maybe shoot a quick YouTube video, but she's going to probably most likely come onto the show in a couple of weeks. But she is from the East Coast, so she would have to be doing this at midnight. Okay, but she'll be on in a couple of weeks with us, and it's going to be a good time. We're really excited that our friends are hanging out with us, and go eat and just having a good time, So,
well, that's what this show is all about, right?
Oh yeah,
hanging out with friends, having a good time.
That's why Hangout's in the title. No, but so one of the things. So while you guys are reading, because people are reading the description right now. They're like, wait, I'm reading the description. But while people are reading the description of the show, there are some people who are learning that we made it where you don't even have to leave Facebook anymore to watch our show. You can watch our show on Facebook now. So people are excited about that.
Awesome.
Because they get that screen that pops up, and now they don't have to worry about coming over to YouTube, because some people don't like being on YouTube. It's just now we've embedded it, so now when you got that link today, you guys, you can just click on that link. It even gives you a countdown, like if you're running and if you don't know if you're going to be in front of your computer or whatever, it counts down and starts to show for you, and it runs in the background, so you don't even got to stress about it. You'll just hear our voices, you'll be like, oh, they are. So it's fantastic. It's a really cool thing.
We're upgrading.
Oh God, yes. A lot of reading, y'all. So we're having a good time now. But while you guys are reading and coming up with your thoughts and tricks and tips, let's say that today's show is about going through to get through, but doing it with a positive attitude in some of the most negative situations. Okay, or in any negative situation. It doesn't have to be the most negative, but it can be negative. What do you, and we're asking and talking about today is how do you get through these things? So, so before we ask about weekends and stuff like that, except for Maggie because Maggie's the guest, instead of asking that question today, I thought the best question would be, how do you feel? Jules, how do you feel today? What is your, how are you feeling?
That's such a loaded question. It sounds easy, but it's not.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, because so many times people ask that question, they just expect a "oh, I'm good" answer, right? But if you really, really want to know and you really dig deep, am I really good today? Or what else is going on in my life? And if I really think about it, yes, I am good. Overall, I am very good. But then it's also I'm tired. I'm stressed out. I'm hungry. I am whatever. Like so many different things. I didn't eat dinner. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Wait. You're not eating dinner on the show? Oh.
I'm drinking Frappuccino because that's my dessert.
Oh no, that's terrible.
No, because I have indigestion. I have because I ate too fast for lunch. So yeah, that's all those things. So many colorful emotions happening at the same time. But overall, I'm very good. I'm hopeful. Church was really good, and I think if I reflect on the past weekend, it kind of relaxed me a little bit more, which was good. And I think
what was church about?
Church was basically we're going through the kind of the Ten Commandments ish. It's basically the love of God. So last week was don't have any other gods before me. This week was don't make any idols of anything. So not just of like some random demigods and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But also even of me, as in even of God. So sometimes we put God into some like a category, or we try to manifest God into something tangible, so that we can use Him to our exposal. Like if we need, we know that there's a true God. You can believe in the true God, but then you can also believe in Him in the wrong way, and that's kind of the way that the sermon was about. But sometimes I feel like maybe that's me. Maybe I do only turn to God when I need Him. Maybe, and then not just me, but people around. Like, maybe we only ask for God's help when we actually need it, not just, on a daily basis, or not just glorifying Him or praising Him for who He is, just regularly in our lives. But we really turn to Him and really, seek His guidance and things like that only when we are in some kind of turmoil or like some kind of situations that we can't do on our own, and which actually is everything. But yeah, anyway, so that Sunday was good, but we also, my family and I went to my brother was in town this weekend, as was my mother. She's in town, so I've been just doing a lot of family stuff. Like this whole year has been, quite interestingly enough, very family related for me, which is not normal in the sense because my family's so spread out. But everybody has been coming into town this year, which is amazing. It's a lot to take in too, because I think I've shared this on the show before. I'm a very if I see it, I'm all in. If I don't see it, I don't know. I kind of forget sometimes. And I live, because I'm so engrossed when something is in front of me. Like if it's not there, if I keep thinking about it, then I don't know if I can just function correctly. I think it's a defense mechanism that I built up since I was a kid, without having my parents around, not having family around. So I know that they're there, but I have to not think about it so that I can move on with my life. And it's kind of progressed into my adulthood, and I don't know quite how to change that all the time, but I recognize it, that I have this going on in my head, but sometimes I tune everything out. Like I become completely numb to it, and when it's in my face, I'm like overwhelmed, because I've been numb to it for so long, and then all of a sudden it's all in my face. So like, it's a lot of family relation stuff. I'm also gonna be an auntie soon. For the first time, it's weird. I feel very grown up. I don't understand what to do with it. Um, there's so many different things happening all at the same time. My brother's like, he's graduated, so he's gonna be like an adult. There's a lot of financial stuff, like in living situation. There's so many different things that are like all up in the air, and so there's too much information that I have to deal with that I even though everything is good, I am a little bit stressed out, and I'm just trying to process, I think. And then in doing so, sometimes I don't understand what I'm feeling until I really, really think about it. And many times I don't have time to really, really think about it. So I just move on with my life, not really knowing what I'm feeling. Yeah. That's how I'm feeling.
How about you, Maggie? How you feel?
I'm feeling okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was very exhausted, but
I started asking that question more because people have they sometimes are ready for the "Hey, how you doing?" question, right? And they have, "Oh, good, it's fine." Like Joe said earlier, people have basically a preloaded answer for because most of the time people aren't really asking you anything. They're just trying to talk. And so I started asking everybody how they're feeling. And well, first off, when you ask somebody how they're feeling and you actually wait for the answer, it's the most shocking look on people's faces nowadays. It's really kind of funny. They're like, "Oh, you're waiting for an answer." So that's funny. But also, I was talking to some people over the last couple of weeks, and one of the things that has been said so much, and then even the woman who interviewed us and is writing the new bios and everything, she was like, it's so true that nobody really just stops to say hi anymore or checks on you randomly just because anymore. No one does that anymore. I think we talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago. But if you talk to enough people, right, you find out that everybody's pretty much going through a version of the exact same thing. It's just that they're not telling you because they feel like you really don't want to know, and if you did know, you probably wouldn't know how to help them or encourage them.
Right.
So what's the point of talking to you? Right? So, just like yesterday, our service at church, the sermon topic was, and the best person to delivered it, was "Let's get serious." Let's get serious about our relationship with God. Why do we continue to play games like, well, now that we're in the kingdom, or now that we're God's kids, we can act the fool, and He's gonna be okay with it because He loves us. And I'm a parent. You can act the fool if you want to, but if the cops come and drag you away, guess what? You're going where you deserve to go. I'm your parent. I love you. I'm going to love you whether you're in jail or at home or, having a very healthy, successful family. My love for you is not going to change just because you made decisions that were going to get you, in trouble, right? But my aunt preached. And no one could deliver messages quite like my auntie when it comes down to, you know better, you old enough to know better, now make a decision. Because you can't keep tiptoeing on the line because God said there is no line. It's you're either hot or cold. There is no lukewarm because He spits lukewarm out of His mouth. So make a decision. And she says that everybody still likes her, right? I say it, they're like, "Oh, you just don't but understand what I'm going through," So, but it was a good time.
You don't know me.
Yeah, you don't know me. You don't know my mama. You don't know what I've been through. No, but anyway, so the question that we got on YouTube, which is a great way to open this up. The question we got on YouTube was, how do you know you're walking in the plan God has for you? Was basically what they were asking. And I thought that was such a short question, but it was such a deep question because they really want to know, right? And there are some very cliche answers, and I thought about all of them. You know, but but um, but then you actually look it up, and the answer is actually when you are moving in the direction that God has for you, then certain things happen. Certain things happen all the time. You come up against a little bit more adversity, but you're still moving in the direction of justice, peace, love. You're moving in the direction of the things that God is all about, that makes up the character of who God is. When you start, because first off, He gives you there's a scripture that says, "I will give you the desires of your heart." Right? It's not just meaning He's going to give you what you want. It means He will actually give you a desire to do a thing that pleases Him. And it's funny because that's how we end up in these really odd careers that we swear was our idea, right? But you're like, I really don't know where it came from. Yeah, you don't. Because I just like folding paper. And what do you know? Now I'm a professional airplane maker, paper plane maker, and I've won millions of dollars off of making paper airplanes.
Professional paper folder.
No, for real, there are. I saw this artist who started his whole career off of folding paper to please the people, to please people at high school because they were having bad days. So once he saw the effect it had on their lives, he kept doing it, and then he started creating these things that had little messages. Once it actually turned the artwork around and told you that you were valued, that you had purpose, that this, that, and the other, right? But you would have never seen it from a distance. You had to get up close to pay attention, and so that's what his whole artwork thing was about. And
it's like
I saw this
fancy fortune cookie.
Basically, like but it was always, and I was like, wow, this man is making millions of dollars off of folding paper, and God gave him a desire to learn how to do it even more in-depthly. So he doesn't believe that anything that he does should be just halfway done, or now that he knows how to make it, he should take less effort to do it the next time than he did the first time. He wants it to be right every time because he never knows who's going to have to look at this piece of paper. So I was like,
you know who else is like that is the guy who invented that plastic little round ring things that kids do use to make bracelets.
Yeah.
I forget what that thing's called,
but
bangles, but they're tiny little, like they're tiny, kind of stretchy little plastic rings, and then you just somehow connect them, and then you make bracelets, and then keychains and whatever. He's a bajillionaire, and he developed it because he wanted to do something with his daughter. Like he wanted to make crafts with his daughter, and he just couldn't hold it. So he did it with sticks or something. I don't know. We were just talking about it today with some other people, and then he somehow just thought of that while playing with his daughter. Oh, I should just make these little plastic rings, and it became such a multi-million-dollar company.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah. It's like when God gives you a desire to do something, don't knock it because it's not working for you today. You can't knock it because you're not seeing what you want to see, because God will give you a job, but that has nothing to do with the career you have in the Lord. Anybody can have a job. Anybody. You know what I'm saying? Especially in LA, you can shine shoes and get rich in LA. If you were in the business district, I know somebody who does it now. And he's like, well, I'm paying for my music, so I got to do something. So, I got to make sure I can make my own schedule. So he got up and he started shining some shoes. I'm like, hey. Whoa. Somebody.
Sorry, that's my dog.
Oh, okay. So, I'm like, wow, was it that sad? But anyway, no.
Sorry.
But no problem. So, out of all the things we've had happen on this show, that's the easiest one to deal with. But yeah, so when God gives you a desire, when He says He's going to give you the desires of His heart, first off, the desires of your heart, first off, you have to know that any desire God gives you is not going to mean that you're putting somebody else down, you're not making somebody else feel dumb, and you're not competing. That's a big one. That's a big one. When God chooses something, when God gives you a desire, and suppose you want to sell carpet, and you know, you just have a love for, because I know people who love, my wife loves numbers. She loves them. She likes putting people on schedules. She likes, oh, she it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense how much she likes these numbers. Other than the fact that God gave her a desire to do this thing, but she wanted to teach people, not just know how to work numbers. So she became a school teacher. But that was the part she added on. Because when she got a chance to work for the union in San Bernardino, oh my God, she straightened up a corrupt. Now I'm going to be honest. She straightened up one of the most corrupt unions, offices or whatever you want to call it. I forgot. Anyway, she got them all back by the book and on task and on schedule, and she did it in like 4 months. I'm like, what in the world? How did the man? You must love what you do, because I wouldn't not with people who keep trying to steal money from each other. So it was a very interesting thing, but she has a passion for what she does. So, and it doesn't mean, and now let me tell you this too, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be doing that thing that you find the most joy in. It does not. God will take that skill set and he will grow it into the next level, because it's precept to precept, you know, and that means you're going to grow level to level until you end up where God needs you to be to affect the next group. So, yeah, telling God, hey, wait, let me sit down. I don't want to do that no more. Good luck with that. Because he's going to keep growing you up even when you think that you can't handle getting older. He's not giving you more than you can bear, but he's going to grow you up. And that's just the beauty that is God. He's a parent. And my kids will not stay their age. They will not. I don't care how old they are. They are not staying that age. You must grow up. You've got to get some sense about yourself, because I don't feel like punishing you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's bad enough that my daughter can't get married till she's, married.
Right. Oh, totally. I understand
Yeah,
that.
and that's only by the person I pick. She don't get no options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the least thing, so at least, she can be not grounded, But yeah, pursue the passion that God has given you. And make sure that it lines up with his word, because you're never going to know if it's God until you look at the motive behind the thing you do. I do not want to see you, like, if you're an entertainer, I don't want to see you up on stage after writing a whole bunch of songs about cussing people out and sleeping with all these guys, talking about, thank you, Lord, for the gift you gave me. I will call you a liar, and then show them what you wrote on Facebook. No, they really want to know how to please God, and apparently they didn't read the instruction manual. It's only 66 books. And there's even a phrase in there that says, "This pleases God." Like, that's what makes it so funny. You can literally type it into Google, "What pleases God?" This pleases God. That's how the phrase starts in that scripture. So, yeah. But anyway, read your Bible, pursue your passion, make sure that your passion is not going to cause harm nor leads anybody down the wrong route. Don't say that you want to be an adult film star, but you love the Lord. Those two don't go together. They don't. They really don't. Okay, but if you have a history of being an adult film star and you're trying to build a stronger relationship with God, God can see you out of that. Even if you're still going to work every day, he can work with you until you lose that desire. I was going to say until that you no longer have that taste in your mouth, but that was just going to be bad. Because he said that to smokers, until that taste, until you lose that taste. But it was good. So until you lose that desire. Okay, so.
Oh, no. But I'll be honest, this is a question I used to ask myself, and I think to some degree I still ask myself, because I think knowing the answer or figuring the answer out and really re-asking the question, it reaffirms in me why I do what I do, or it reinvigorates and re-deepens or re-roots the reasons why I chose the career that I chose, or God helped me choose the career that I chose. Because sometimes you lose focus. Sometimes, a lot of people too, like, they may have originally set out to please God and do all the things, that they believed, and maybe it is God, God's plan for you to be where you are, but then they forget that it's ultimately God and not them, and then they start putting other gods before it, and they lose track and they lose focus, and then the motives become different. So I think actually it is actually a really good thing to keep asking that question once in a while to really reassessate, like, where am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And yeah, because that's.
I'm going to just say real quick, you just said reassessate. I just love that.
Reassess. Hey, it sounds like a real word to me. Reassess. I'm gonna make that a new word.
Man.
God told me I'm gonna make new words.
So the synonym to that is revitalize.
Yes.
Because you're reassessing and you're invigorating.
Oh, I meant to say. You know what I did? I did reassess and resuscitate.
I knew what you were doing. Yeah. Oh man, see, you're gonna be a rapper before you know it. Like, these words to combine will sound much cooler.
Yes.
Like, because hey, I want to resuscitate you. Say what? Hey, resuscitate you. You know what that means when we do.
Hey, it totally sounds like a real word. It's gonna be in the Urban Dictionary. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, look, it's gonna be hot. Trademark that. No, too expensive. Never mind. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, so hopefully that helps you out a bit. We like to ramble because that's what we do on this show, because we hanging out. If this were like a television show, we wouldn't have that kind of time. So we would just give you 3 quick ways to know if you're following the Word of God, if you're following God's will for your life. But we give you 3 quick ways in a very long way of doing it. And you learned a new word today, resuscitate. Go to work and tell them that you're resuscitating your job and why you do it.
Amen.
Oh man, I might write a song title just called Resuscitate, and then literally write a song for it. I might do it. I'm gonna have to remember that. You guys are funny. Oh man. I don't even know why I can't think right now. I'm trying not to say resuscitate. So tonight, you guys, we're talking about going through some hard things and getting through them with a positive attitude. So I thought I'd start it off by giving you guys a quick update. The woman that I told you guys about, who was about to have surgery on her cervical spine, she had her surgery last week, and I went to see her. Figuratively speaking. No, I went to see her, and me and my wife and everybody, we went, and she had just come out of surgery. Her daughter showed up to.
She did.
Yes, but she didn't get to see her because the surgery lasted longer than they thought. Because the doctor went in and he basically told her it was a hot mess in there. That if she had gone 3 more weeks without getting the surgery, she would have been paralyzed from the neck down. It was because of bone spurs. People always talk about that's not that big of a deal or whatever. But they were about to touch her spinal column and cut through and all that. So we're hanging out, and she's high as a kite because she's coming, she's in the recovery part, but she's allowed to have some company. So they bring me back there. First off, this nurse, he was funny because he saw that I was blind. He saw I had my cane and everything, but he was like, well. Oh.
Sorry, my other brothers came home. I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Okay.
The nurse, he comes to get me, and he's like, oh, let me get a wheelchair so I can take you in, because I think I'm the first blind person he's ever met, right? We can walk, No, but it was funny.
Since when? No way.
But so I taught him how to do sighted guide real quick. It's funny how you teach, people like nurses real quick, whatever, no problem. They got it. You're not hitting any doors, nothing. You teach other people. it may not work out so well. But you know, they're good at looking at clearances for wheelchairs and stuff. So and taking those big beds around. So I'm sure they've got this whole guiding one person around thing down. But go in there and I walk around the corner. She's like, "Hey, Big Papa." Now she's not supposed to be able to talk yet. Right? And she's like, "Hey, Big Papa, I'm just laying here doing the salsa." She's moving her hands, her legs, you know, she's just having herself a good time partying because this woman does not know how to be upset. She knows how to be a little afraid from time to time, but she does not know how to be sad. You know, she does not do being upset, you know, because she just is just not part of her makeup. So when she's going through things, she will laugh and joke her way through them. When she had no food and she didn't know how she was going to eat, and our family was able to help her, she was like, "Hey, if I can't eat, I get skinny." you know. But she has such a positive attitude. So I'm sitting there talking to her because I had gone to the doctor earlier that day as myself, and so we're just talking and joking, and and the nurse is laughing so hard. He's like, "How can you guys talk about so many tragic things and have people laughing so hard?" Like he said, "You guys need to do a show or something." It's the most encouraging thing because he said as long as he's been working in the ICU, he has never seen that kind of joy from somebody who ran the risk of losing their limb, you know, losing their mobility of their limbs and stuff like that. He's never seen a handicapped person walk through the door and be like, "Hey, you know, you look just like how I actually told her, you look just like how I pictured you would look, like a cyborg. You got wires here, you know, now you got metal inside. You know, you're great. Now you're almost there. You're almost a cyborg now." You know, and she just laughed, had a good time. And then when I talked to her, and then they let her go home the next day because they said she had the activity of her limbs. She was moving and having a good time. She had a very positive attitude, and she's healing faster than anybody they've ever seen before. You know, they said her attitude through the situation she was going through. Now, mind you, this woman was going through a fear about losing her life. You know, she's no spring chicken. She had the family member who was just breaking her heart at the same time, and she had a family. All she had was a family friend and me, and my family that were willing to come and see her and show up and do this thing. Everybody else that she had to talk to, you know, they say, "Oh, well, you know, I'll see what I can do," and then never even tried or attempted, you know, to do. So the fact that her daughter made the trip out was interesting, and then she, you know, that was great. She was really encouraged, and then but then her daughter had to leave because she said, "Well, you know, I can't stay here too much longer. I got Pilates to teach." So, but she did wait for 4 to 5 hours, so you know that was very encouraging, and I'm glad that it put a friend on my. I'm glad that it put a smile on my friend's face. I was gonna say it put a friend on my smile's face. So and just to see her smile like that, it was worth it, you know, to me. But she was going through some horrible things, and we're kind of in a season of stressful things. You know, like there are some major stressful things going on, and and usually when we come onto the show, we talk about all the things that are going on in the world around us and all the things that, you know, we're watching people go through. So I talked to my wife about this, and I said, "You know what? Let me tell you guys about what I'm going through right now, because the thing is that I went to doctor. I've been hanging around a lot of my Asian friends. I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me that he's surprised that I have not been hospitalized. You know, every time I go to take this test for my lungs, the numbers, they don't just get slightly worse; they get majorly worse, right? And to the point of the look on his face when he saw the numbers and he saw me smiling, joking, and laughing, he said, "I have nothing to complain about." He said I didn't want to come to work today. I didn't feel like, you know, doing my job today. I just felt like everybody, all they want is something from me, but they never ask me how my day is, and this, that, and the other. And everybody goes through these things, right? And he's like, but I'm looking at these test results and I'm looking at how you deal with it, you know, because he said I was in my mind trying to figure out how to tell you that your numbers are just not good. that they're just bad, and my insurance is taking forever to approve the medication I need, so I'm just, you know, kind of just going through, right? And then he said, and you had a not a regular infection, a super infection, which caused all of these other things with your body to happen, you know, because my skin was so hot on the inside, it started burning the outside of my skin at one point, right? And it was all these things going on at the same time, and you know, while all these things were going on, okay, my wife and I are looking to adopt, because there are people that we know about who are in situations where it's just not a good environment for them. And even if God says, you know what, I'm going to put that person somewhere else, we know that there are other people who still need a place where they can be loved and appreciated. And I know that there are a lot of little girls out there who need a father figure, so that they don't end up thinking that they only have one thing to offer the men in their life. You know, so you know, there's all these things going on, right? And then he said something to me that, you know, just cracked me up. He said, the career you have chosen, the career that you do, has literally saved your life. He said, all these different things that you do, from the massage company to the singing to the, you know, to the, like, I rehearse full-on concerts 3 times a week. And that's what keeps my lungs strong enough to do everything else that we do, right? And so I know everybody's songs. Songs that we ain't even written yet, I know. You know, but he's like, but it's the funniest thing. And he's like, literally, the many talents and gifts God has given you has saved your life, because this is the only reason you're able to walk today. That's the only reason you're able to go outside and do what you do today, is because you continue to sing, and you continue to dance, and you continue to encourage other people, which actually makes you happy. And he said, because you should be on oxygen and you should be hospitalized. And I'm like, well, you know me, if I'm gonna go, I go hard. I don't half step nothing. We going on. It was just like, I've never seen it before in my life. I don't know how you can stay so positive when everything is just falling apart. And I said, well, I know where my end is, so how I get there is not up to me. But I know where I'm going, so I'm not afraid of the trip, you know. So while everybody else is, you know, feeling bad or, you know, sorrowful, because like my wife, it hurts her to see me in so much pain, you know, and get a text, and yet she's like, wow, you know. And mind you, I'm not just now, because, you know, health things are one thing, but right now my family, and, you know, because I'm just, you know, it's my family, so I can talk about it. My family is going through, family members with mental health issues, and I'm the lead person on that particular thing. My family is going through, you know, financial issues, you know, because we had to take care of some things. The city where I live is the reason why I'm having breathing issues and we can't afford to move. You know, so it's like I'm living in the place that's causing my body to go buck wild crazy, but right now can't afford to move, because everything right now that we do has to move toward getting things taken care of so that we can move. So restructuring your finances and restructuring things costs money. And if you don't have it, then you have to wait till you get it. Meanwhile, you have a plan and you worship God and you thank God for making sure that you're able to make it from day to day. To me, it's just that simple, right? So like, cool. You know, I'm rocking with the Lord, so I ain't got nothing to worry about. But we go through all these things at the same time. We're going through all these things right now at the very same time. And it's funny because my wife came home the other day and said, hey, you know, I just applied for this, you know, job that I'm really, you know, that's a couple steps higher than where I'm at my job, and I'm looking forward to it. But, you know, if it doesn't happen, it just means that I get to do less work, because she's actually doing that job now, but she doesn't have that title, right? So they're paying her to do that job. So she said, so really, if I don't get the job, it allows more time for me to invest in INNERMIX. She said, so I want the job, but if I don't get the job, then this will still work out, because I'm learning so many things with INNERMIX that I never thought I would learn, that now I just have a passion for doing it. She said, so it's really giving me a new vision, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, this is, you know, God is awesome, because y'all just don't know, you know. but God is awesome. So I'm thinking about all these things. I'm thinking about, you know, yesterday when I'm in church, I'm thinking about all these things and how grateful I am. Because while I'm in the middle of going through all these things, I'm facing fears that, you know, that I've had since I was little, and I'm facing all these things. And while all these things are going on, I'm so excited about what God is doing. I have not one complaint. I can't even complain about none of this stuff. Because if my, you know, what am I going to do? Get darker? You know, like, okay, you know, that's what I'm saying, like, you know, okay, so I'm in a little bit of pain, and I'm taking these medications to deal with that while my skin heals, because they said that basically it was like I was dealing with, like I was on fire on the inside because of how badly my skin was infected. But it was not because of anything I did. It was because I took not a flu shot. I was getting allergy tested to prevent this from happening. And because my skin and my immune system is so freaking strong, they had to give me a stronger dose, and it lit me up from the inside out. So the reason why I'm going through all these things is because the city I live in is full of all of these allergens, and my immune system against these allergens is much weaker. So so then a couple weeks ago, this I thought was really funny. A couple weeks ago, I do a massage, and my body started getting better because I got to move my lymph. I'm like, this is insanity. Like, I'm like, this don't make no sense. I've done massages, blah, blah, you know, before, you know, since this has happened, blah, blah. This ain't no, you know, this isn't, but it wasn't. And then I was talking to somebody about this because I was cracking up. They said it's not about the massage, it's about who it was for. You know, you got to use the gift God gave you for the people that God gave it to you for. And, you know, he said, and I was like, well, yeah, you know, but it was the funniest thing in the world to me, because I was like, man, God is so good on every level. He's just so good. I have no complaints. So when people keep asking, how do I stay so excited and how do I stay so optimistic, and because I've gone through so much hell in my life that, you know, these talked to a guy recently who was talking about committing suicide. And once he started feeling better about himself, and we told him we would no longer be working with him because we want to take the stress off of him, he tried to basically do his version of suing us. So,
yep.
So I said, so by that point, I was no longer even mad. I was shocked, but I wasn't even mad. I said, okay, you know what? I got you. I went back, looked at the contract, because needed to, you know, got to do the business. Nothing that he was saying was even in the contract. So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to handle this as calmly and professionally as possible, because the person that I got on our team to help out with this, he said, I can end this right now. I was like, no. The way you do stuff, people die, things blow up, everything goes crazy, and you don't even say nothing but words. You don't do nothing but words. You know what I'm saying? But he's going through some things, and he needs to know that even though, you know, he's not going to get what he wants, it's not because he didn't get what we promised. You know, because technically all we got to do is say, tell me in the contract where it says this. Mm-hmm. You know, but to destroy somebody when they're already feeling down, even if they are firing off at you, that's not a victory. You know, it's not. So the only way you can be victorious is to still hold yourself into a certain standard, because old me would have handled that so much different, so much more different. I shouldn't laugh at old me, but he was funny.
Yes, he was. I'll be friends with the old you.
No, you wouldn't.
From afar. From afar.
Yeah. You'd watch my YouTube.
#1 subscriber.
It's like, y'all have to see this. Y'all have to see this.
I'm like, yeah.
So while all this stuff is going on, okay, like some of this stuff Jules didn't even know about till just now, but while all this stuff is going on, right? I mean, it's like, you know, I'm loving life. I was so excited about what God is doing in my life that I couldn't help myself when I was in church. I just felt tears rolling down my eyes because I'm excited. But every time I think about how excited I am, I think about how, like, like when I think about the people that are on my mind constantly, like when I think about Maggie, literally when I look at Maggie, I see nothing but success, nothing but. I don't see any bit of, of anything other than victory when I look at her. But I know God has touched her life. I know that in the middle of confusion and things not always working out your way, that you're actually learning and growing and getting stronger. So I'm inspired by watching her walk with God. I truly am, right? When I look at Jules, I see me and...
That's just a yellow version, and I'm also yellow today. I don't know what's going on with my lighting, but I'm like super yellow.
because I was noticing, I was like, you trying to blend into the back wall. You look yellow with a tan.
I look almost orange. I don't know what's going on with the lighting today. Oh, there it goes. Oh, it changed a little bit. Okay.
No, because you were further away, so it started blending you in with your background.
That's so funny.
That was cool. But yeah, but there, so today we want to talk about, because I wanted to let you guys know that the things that you were talking about, the things that you're going through, are things that I'm going through today. Not things that I'm going through or went through or survived or all that. I've survived because I believe that God has taken me through to get through. So I've survived already. So all I got to do is walk the walk and do what needs to be done. You know what I mean? In this season, either your pride's getting tested, your true belief in God is being tested. Do you believe that He's able to? Do you really believe it, or are you saying it until you believe it? Either way, it's fine as long as you know which one you're doing. You can't be slapping people up because you said you believe God, but then they said something that was gonna hurt your feelings. Every time in Scripture you heard somebody say, "I trust God," they went through craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, crazy. So anytime you say, "I trust God to put me into the relationship that's going to build me up and not tear me down, to be there," that means that relationship is going to go through some craziness, and then both people have to decide that they're going to make it out on the other side. You can't decide for everybody. You see what I'm saying? You can't. My wife tried to decide for us before we even knew we were going to go through. And I'm like, well, you can't make decisions for me. I have to decide for myself, or it's just me pulling against somebody who doesn't want to move. So, look, I'm strong, but man, can't. You can't decide to just kind of get right. You got to decide you're either going to get right or you aren't. You see what I'm saying? Hold on, I remember the kind of get right. I cracked myself up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's just an either or situation, because when you start slipping and sliding, and this is what I had to tell a beautiful young woman yesterday. When you start slipping and sliding on your morals and your values, you start doing that slip that takes you out of a place where you can truly be happy, because you don't trust the emotion that you're in. Because you don't know if you're happy because you truly trust God, or if you're happy because the situation is going the way you wanted it to. You're not even sure anymore. Because that joy of the Lord, which becomes your strength, that's a joy that doesn't necessarily leave just because things get hard or because you're not getting along or whatever. Because even when me and my wife broke up the first time we were dating, we broke up, and I still thought she was cool. Mm-hmm. I still thought she was fantastic. That's why we got back together, because she recognized that I was. But no, no. I mean, we broke up literally for like a week and a half, something like that. Because I refused to walk backwards into something that I had already gotten out of. That was it. And we broke up. Now, I'll tell you, I knew she was my wife when I put my arm around her, but I broke up with her like a week and a half after we got together. Something like that. So, oh yeah, just a lot of craziness. Now, lately I've been hearing a lot about. Yesterday I was talking to a woman who doesn't know how to give up bad relationships, and
she likes bad relationships?
No, she just doesn't know how to give it up.
What do you mean give it up?
To not find them, to not stay in them, because she doesn't like them, but it's all she's ever known. So to find something that does not break her down and make her feel like, she doesn't purposely go out looking for it, but she doesn't know how to, when she's in it, realize this is not for me. It's time for me to make space for God to send me the one that is for me, because her desire is to be with the right person, because she already feels like she's older, so she doesn't want to feel like she has to start all over again. Mm-hmm. So I sat there and talked with her. me and one of the deacons at the church, we sat and talked with her, and She was like, by looking at you and how happy you are, I never would have known that you've gone through so much crap before you found the one you were with. I was like, well, I wasn't born and she was there. It just looks that way. But no, that took saying, you know what? I gotta get free so I can get right. That, so I can get what I deserve, what I've planted. I'm planting these things. I should reap these things. I should not be planting, trust and faithfulness and all this stuff, and then be reaping lack of trust and lack of faithfulness and lack of this thing. She's like, how you know my story? I said, because it's everybody's story. I said, yeah, my wife had jealousy issues, and yeah, she had moments where she had these things, but she also worked to get through them. She didn't want to stay there. She didn't just keep coming home every day talking about, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. She was working her way through that, and it took her a while to get through it. But in the meantime, she showed such leaps and bounds. So I was like, she gonna make it. And then she picked up a circle of people around her who was gonna help her make it through it. Because she couldn't trust the girls her age, because the girls her age kept saying the same stuff she was saying. So what she did was she found women in the church who like, look, I know him. No worries. Don't even trip. Look, and I'll get him before you do if something is going. She was like, you know what? I'm good with that. Like all of a sudden. But it took a while. You see what I'm saying? So don't allow your current situations to cause you to feel like your future is going to be bleak, dark, and without hope. That is one of the most depressing things that can happen. It is because when you look at, when I look at my relationships now, right, I recognize things that is going to become a topic of another show. But we mentioned it last week or something, last week or the week before. We mentioned it, then it hit me because I was having to talk to someone else about a very similar situation. But do your friends love you the way you love your friends? Would you trust your friend with your life? And one of the bigger things is the Bible says no greater love can the man show their friend other than to lay their life down for them. If someone were coming after you, would your friends really be there, especially if it's not your fault? Because if you're causing your own mess, then you got to deal with your own mess sometimes, for a good amount of the time, unless you Jules, right? Then.
What you mean? I don't make messes. I don't know what you're talking about. Because I don't make any choices.
I don't make any choices? Oh, man.
I'm a G.
She made a decision saying that was your idea and walked out the room. So somebody said, whose idea was it? I told you whose it was. No, but for real, don't allow the current thing, because I know that there's some crazy things going on right now in everybody's life, crazy things. And I didn't want to bring you somebody else's stories and somebody else's stuff because, look, I'm my own man, right? So I say what I want about my life, and y'all can say, oh, you shouldn't have told that or whatever, but you know what? I don't even care. Because, I've been recently, while I'm in the middle of all the stuff that I just described to you guys, people have questioned my integrity. They have questioned my ability to, be a good leader. They've questioned the vision that God gave me for this group. They've questioned, my everything. They keep questioning it, right? And it's been from people who are close to me to people who are far from me who don't know me. And I realized that, hey, this is part of the process. Something must be going right, because everybody's got an opinion and everybody's got something to say. Say what you need to say so that we can move past it. If you got doubts, good. That's fine for you. I have no doubts, not one. So if I need, like I told my wife this the other day, you are going. This is hard for you because you've never been in this place before. But I've been here before. I know how it works out. Roll with me. and she was like, how can I not smile and be like, cool, because I'm the one, I'm going through these things. I see how it hurts her because of what is going on in her mind and how much she loves me. But at the same time, I'm like, look, I've been here before. It's just me. It's just another version of sick. Roll with me. I've been through this. We're going to make it through this, make it through this thing. Don't even worry about it. Finances a little tight. Roll with me. Got you. I've been through this before. I've been homeless before. So this is easy. I said, when we filed bankruptcy, we were on the train derailed, it flipped over 17 times, landed on this roof, hit something else, flipped over again. The only thing that stayed intact was the engine. We just went along for the ride like this, rolled, She laughed so hard, said, now the caboose fell off. We didn't need that thing anyway. Our butt was too big as it was. Like whatever. She just kept laughing. She's like, how do you laugh at this stuff? And I was like, because it's life. Life happens. Financial stuff happens. People challenge your dream all the time. Mine, all the time. So at first it used to bug me, make me question, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever, I don't even care. Like, your opinion is what keeps me motivated. Not because I want to prove you wrong, but because that means that I must be doing something right. Because nothing you say to me is about me doing anything negative. So I'm good. I'm good. My family is good. My peeps are good. Everybody's good. And it's not because of anything I'm doing. It's because of who God is in my life and how, if I'm wrong, he corrects me. And if I'm wrong, he'll send someone to correct me. He'll send Jules quickly. He'll send one. He'll send my wife quickly. I realized recently that the only people who actually have an emotional effect on me right now, that is Jules and my wife and my aunt. That's it. Out of everybody in the world, these three have the most profound effects on me emotionally. But I'm working against that. But I realized that the other day when I was in the hospital, and I was like, I was like, now who am I going to call and tell about this stuff? Like my wife was just standing there, and I said, I got to tell somebody about all this stuff going on with me. But I said, but nah, whatever. I said, and she's like, well, who are the first people to come to mind? I said, Jules and my auntie. She said, who, anybody else? I said, well, you already here. I said, she's like, huh. She said, well, that's everybody. I said, oh my God. Is it her too? She said, that's pretty much everybody. So, my mom, but, we always include mom, but, but it's just the most interesting thing. Like, as I get told that I should be dead, I've never felt more alive. And I was feeling this good before they told me I should be dead. So imagine how good I feel now. So with all this stuff going on, like, the woman who's writing our bios and everything, she keeps asking me how you stay so positive. You are one of the most positive people I've ever met. Like, I've been through so much, and I understand the reason why people treat me the way they treat me, or I understand the reason why people go through the things they go through. I understand that I have a calling on my life, and it's to encourage those around me. But how am I going to be able to talk to you about something you're going through if I haven't been through some version of that emotional state? How am I going to tell you you're going to make it out if you don't know? That I made it out. And then what good is it going to do me to keep secrets from you who is going through the same stuff I'm going through? That don't make no sense, right? Well, let me see how it works out first, and I'll let you know what happens. No, I know I'm victorious. So, I know I am. So, I'm sorry, I'm watching the comments at the same time and hearing this thing in my ear, and basically I'm hearing more amens and thank you, this is what I needed, because I thought my life was, stuff, and and I don't know if I should feel better because your life your experiences sound worse than my life right now. You should feel better. There's nothing wrong with going through. What happens is you go through and then you feel bad because you're going through, as opposed to being optimistic and understanding that God will see you through. 400 years of slavery for the Israelites, but they came out and they didn't even have to walk around the river. God's like, you know what, I got you, man, I got you. Look, let's just open it up for you. Because you done been there for 400 years. Matter of fact, I'm even gonna give you all their stuff. How about that? I'm gonna give you their stuff too. So, there's a lot of victory in going through. A lot of it, but it's truly going through. And then for you guys who are asking about, type in, I will deliver you out of them all. Because I can't remember exactly what the scripture is, but if you type that into Google, it will give you the scripture where God says he will deliver you out of everything that comes against you. Okay? So, but he didn't give you no time frame, so y'all have to just believe him. But he will deliver you out of them all. So as we go through the things we go through, my wife is smiling now because I can't help but smile. I can't. I can't help myself. I'm just truly delighted in God. I'm so happy, and it's not because I survived. Because I'd be this happy, and then they told me, you're gonna be passing on in a couple of months. Okay, I know where I'm going. So it's our goal anyway. I just got an early ticket. Cool. Let me just write this plan up real quick for what's going to happen with my family, so my wife has a guide, so that when she's going through the grieving, she's not without me helping her understand what the next steps are. Let me make sure that I have a plan written for INNERMIX, so that as this goes on, it still continues on, because these are the things God has put in my hands. Can't let them go just because I'm gone. So that way, trust God with it. Let's move. Let's do it. Right? But that's kind of just my mentality. That's just kind of how I operate. And you can't.
The Bible verse, is it Psalm? Is it in Psalms?
I believe. Well,
Psalms 50, there's a verse, Psalms 50, or Psalm 50, 15. It's, call on me in the day of trouble, I will deliver you, and you will honor me.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Is that the one?
But then that's not the one I had in mind, but that works. Call them. Yeah, it works.
Here we go. Psalm 34, 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all.
Yep.
That's it.
When you're moving down the road that God has called you on to be on, whether you go through it early or you go through it midway or you go through it late in life, you're going to go through something. Because all it does is show you where you really are. That's all it does. And it proves to those who are watching you where that they can make it through, because he will deliver you through each and every situation that approaches you. I know what it's like to not have money. I do. And that seems to be the biggest thing hitting people right now, is how am I going to make it through? I talked to a woman recently who said, you don't know how bad it is to be 28 years old and that your parents are still buying your lady things. I said, have you ever thought about the fact that your parents are still willing to buy the lady things? No, I never thought about that, D. I said because it's hard, but that's a pride buster. It's not a game change. It's not a game ender. It's not doesn't end the whole game. It just busts your pride open. But you're kind of prideful anyway. You know you are. Well, yeah. I'm like, come on now. I said, please. I know about pride busting. And I sat down and talked to her about what happens when God is busting your pride wide open. It ain't cute. No, it ain't cute. It ain't. Oh man. I mean, see, let me explain to y'all what a cold peace God is and why I love him so much. Because he does stuff that I now know I should do to people, right? First off, he brought me a woman that wanted to take care of me when I was told that men are always take care of their women. It doesn't happen the other way around, because it's really a one-sided relationship. That's what I had heard from the men in my life until my uncle, broke that whole thing and said, no, you guys take care of each other. It doesn't matter who makes more or does more of a thing. You help each other out because you're one. Your left hand helps your right hand helps your left hand. If you got a cast on your right hand, best believe the left hand still got some dirty work to do. I had to clean that up. But because someone's still wiping. No, but anyway, so so you got it. He said, so you got to know that it's a balanced approach. It's a balanced thing. And then and then when it came down to, you know, like I mentor a lot of people. Like God has had me in the position to mentor quite a few people and to help them get to their understanding of where God wants them to be in their life. But then God will say, yes, but you have to call them and ask them for help with the financial thing. I'm like, you must be kidding. That was my initial approach for years. Joseph testified. For years.
I testify.
I'm like, why? I have all these connections. I can literally hook people up with work. And but you know, after I got married, this is the funniest thing. After I got married, I could not find a job. I had to create every job I ever had. I could no longer find a job. But before I got married, I could find a job like that. It was not hard. I could just go in, talk to anybody, and I could get work like that. But when I met my wife, and she quit the job I had, said, God has a plan for you. She was not playing. And ever since then, when things got really hard, you know, and whatever, and we had to, you know, work at it, I could not go out and find a 9-to-5. I could not do it. It would not work. I tried, and I tried for a long time. Could not do it. And I said, why, God? You keep telling me that a man that does not work should not eat. He said, well, who are you working for, you or me? I told you that I would take care of your needs, and I would tell you I would provide for you if as long as you move along the road that I have you on. I told you that, you know, be about my business and I'd be about yours, is what the scripture says, right? So I'm like, yeah, but everybody says that a man that's not work should not eat means that he has to be making the most of money. And God said, that's not what I said. I said a man that does not work. So if you want to lay around and do nothing, then lay around, do nothing, and eat nothing, because you get so lazy. There's a scripture that says a man can become so lazy, or a person can become so lazy that they refuse to even feed themselves. They want somebody else to feed them.
Yep.
And then what makes this really funny is these are the people that most of the young ladies want to chase after because they look so cool. Until they, you know, realize that they've been bamboozled, hoodwinked. so
Did you just say bamboozled?
Yes, I did. I've been bamboozled. I've been hoodwinked. I've been lied to. No, he was telling you I don't do that, and you said I'll do it, boo. Do it then. Now you can't be mad. He told you the truth. I don't want to get up. So that's just funny. But I couldn't find work to save my life. Could not. Made me feel like I was less than. Made me feel like I couldn't get anything done. Made me feel like I was just not good enough to be any of these things that I am now, because I could not go and do it the way that everybody said I should do it, right? And then, but yet, every time something major happened in our life, every time something major happened in my family, God always met the need, but he didn't meet the need because of me having an outside job. It was because of the connections and the lives that were changed because of what I do now. Some things you cannot purchase. Some things have to come because, like, our car literally pretty much blew up. We threw this rod and went through the whole car. We had a car. We didn't even have the money to put down on the car. This is how real this is. But a model that I used to represent, who she went to go work for a company. I think it was some cash call company. Yeah, I think it was called Cash Call. She went to go work for this company called Cash Call. I knew that we could not afford to take out a loan that was going to have this crazy interest rate on it. She said, so, you know, so for the down payment for this new car, she said, well, I'll rush it through, and then I'll make it where you don't have to pay it back till you actually have the money to pay just what you borrowed, right? And I was like, wow, right? She said, when do you want to pay it back? Right? I was like, wow. Then we looked around, and we still couldn't find a car in our price range that would even take that kind of down payment, because we had just filed our bankruptcy. And my wife's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, we're going to have a good time looking for some cars, right? But meanwhile, I was consulting on this. I was consulting with this guy who had a boy group, and he needed some help finding good material for his group. So I wrote a few songs for them and whatever. But I never charged them because they didn't have no money to pay me, you know. And so I was like, okay, cool. My wife was like, you're writing songs for free while we need money? That's like, babe, they need the songs, and that's something I can do that they can't do is pay me, right? And turns out this guy in his past had helped people start their car dealerships. He said, D, you need a car? Come down to one of my dealerships that I helped start. I'm not, he said, I don't make money on them, but I helped them get it started, so they owe me. So we went down, and they said, well, we picked out a car for you because you have a family and this, that, and the other. I was, this is before I even started, or this is after I started massage school or whatever. So he's like, so you need to be able to run a business, you need to be able to do stuff. So they gave us this Ford station wagon type thing, but it was like, it was great, better than the car we had. And all the employees that worked there that were involved with the sale of the car put in the down payment portion that we couldn't put in. They helped us pay for everything so that all we had to pay back was the initial cash call loan, which we were able to do without having to pay not a dime of interest on top of it. And all of that came through me doing what I do now, not from doing the other stuff around it. And I have so many other stories that are just like that when it comes down to my family and making it through difficult times and whatever. Following this vision has made it where we have no food in the house. We've had it where there's no food. We've had it where there's bankruptcy. We've had it where we've had a lot of things hit. And the question people kept saying is, when are you going to give up what you do so that you can find a real job or a real this or a real that? And then we get calls where people are saying, I'm being sold into basically slavery. I'm this, that, and the other. How am I going to, what am I going to say? I'm sorry you're going through that, but you got to trust God because I got to go do this over here. It don't even make sense to me, right? So only recently, very recently, have I met the other side of this coin where people are just like, don't stop doing what you're doing. I don't care how hard it gets because this is that calling on your life. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what they do. You just keep going after what God is causing you to go after because INNERMIX has touched more lives than I can even explain. And the feedback from all that is like, it's not a waste of time. And what's funny is you guys have only seen, this is what I really think is really kind of funny, is INNERMIX is broken into two portions. There's education and there's entertainment. We've been doing the education part. If y'all saw my notes, John, be like, where'd this come from? Truly God, because I will literally, Jules will tell you, I'll lay down for a nap and wake up with an idea. Yep. But I
testify.
Yeah, she'll testify. So, and I'm sorry, y'all, that I'm eating up all this time, but somebody asked me to tell them my testimony, and I said, you know what? I think it's time that y'all hear the whole thing, so that you know that this thing, where you see the success of INNERMIX and all that kind of stuff, and this, that, and the other, like, it's really because God has been good. Not because we had everything, not because people always were in agreement with what we do, not because people believed that this would be successful, not because we were always happy with what we'd have to do to take things to another level, right? Everybody wants to own everything, but we didn't even want to do all the work.
Say that again.
Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing entertainment all my life. Okay, I know, like, when this new bio comes out, you guys are going to get to see a lot more of the stuff that I've never talked about on the show, right? But there's a lot of stuff that I've done in entertainment that, that someone decided to zero in on because, honestly, I forgot about it. Before I even wanted to be a singer, I wanted to be a painter. And I loved sculpting. That was my thing. I loved clay. I'm blind and I like to touch stuff. But I loved shaping things and watching them take form and all that. Now I just do it in a different way. And like I so respect Maggie's hustle. because she reminds me of when I watch her stuff online, when I watch her move through the industry, and I watch her just continue to press forward. And I watch from two perspectives. I watch from a fan's perspective, but I watch from a businessman perspective, and I'm like, okay, she doesn't need my help yet. But when she does, I know who I'm going to call. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people will ask for help and not do it'll be a waste of my phone call, right? So, let's just be real. People will ask for stuff because they want you to hook them up, but then they won't do nothing with it to show that they were even appreciative of that thing. Maggie has a hustle, and she works hard, and she actually pushes through. And when she's not sure what's going to happen, she's like, "But something's going to happen, so let's just do it." You know, like it's it's an entrepreneurial thing, but it's what you need to survive in today's social media, just like social media world. But I did find out that because Maggie's building credits, you guys can help Maggie do what she wants to do. So, but I won't talk to you about that till I talk to Maggie about that. So anyway, but it just fascinates me because I'm sitting here watching, and again, Joseph testify, I watch a lot of people. I do, because I know that I'm getting old, you know, but there's so many young people out there with vision, and they just need to line it up with God's will for their lives so that they can actually see the success of that vision and know how to go through what they have to go through to perfect that vision. You know, so I like to watch people and what they do when times get tough or things get hard or they don't know what, you know, they're like, do they give up or do they keep pressing? You know, do they find a support system and keep pressing? You know, like, you know, when I wanted to do music in the past and I couldn't afford to go to the studio, I just got a job, you know, and that job was my job so that I could pursue my career. That was just it. You know, I worked at a hotel at one point, and I made so much money at that hotel because I was singing. Not because I was doing a good job at the hotel. It was fun, though. You know, I worked security. I was singing. I was making sometimes $150 a day singing. That tax-free, because people just gave me the change after they got their train ticket because they were just so entertained. Because, again, Jules testified, I will sing and dance anywhere because I just feel it. I don't care. She care. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'll be at the train station waiting for her to pick me up, and I put it on a concert for me and myself, you know? You know, so, but if it's something you love to do, you're going to do it anyway. You're not going to worry about what people think about you doing it. You're not going to worry about, you know, now true, you got to know when it's appropriate. Like, you're not going to be like, you know, standing in church like, ooh, let me check your inseam real quick because I got the perfect idea for you. I know a woman who did that. That's the only reason I came up with that example. She's like, ooh, girl, you know what? Hold on. Let me check something real quick. She had a tape measure in her purse. We up there praising the Lord, and she up there taking measurements to see, ooh, I got an idea. I'm like, where did the tape measure come from? Where did the tape measure?
I have one in my purse.
Oh, man. That is, of course you do. I'm not surprised. Oh, man.
I do have to say, though, I think this year has been really, really, really hard. I mean, this past 2 years has been really, really, or a year and a half has been really tough because it's like when I first graduated from grad school, I thought I was going to be on top of the world like right away because, you know, this process to getting into grad school and having professors really look at me and take notice and really mentor me and say, like, you have a lot of talent. Like, I was like, okay, I'm like totally unstoppable. And I think I'm pretty sure it was like a pride issue. And I always had to ask myself, like, am I doing this for myself or am I doing this for God? And being in LA for the past, or like the year, half a year ago, for 1 year, it was really hard because financially, I just wasn't making enough money to, like, as much as I love costume designing, I wasn't making enough money to, like, to have enough to eat or to, you know, have enough for much of anything. And then like when I moved back home to Northern California this January, like things are really, really hard because like within 4 months, like 3 really, really close people have passed away. And so that was really hard to deal with. Like I just felt like, okay. And then even though I'm like not dealing with it and not fully like healing, it's like dealing with 3 deaths at once is just too hard for me to cope with. And so like for this, like I was like jobless for practically like half a year, and I didn't have anything to work on. I wasn't working on anything, costuming or anything. I could have worked on my Comic-Con costume like way early in April, but I was like procrastinating like a normal 28-year-old. and and then and then I started like complaining, like I started becoming very, very bitter at God because it was like, God, like I sold my car because my car cost me $5,000 to fix, and then on top of that, it was just like I didn't have any money at all, and so I sold my car. And then like from like January to now, that's what I've been living off, was just like the money that I had from my car. But you know, in like as hard as it was, like looking back at it now, like I've realized that like I started putting more attention to my blog. I started updating more. I started really trying to like grow my audience on my blog, and it has grown like tremendously like within the past year. And if I didn't have the time off from being in LA, from doing costume designing, this would have never ever happened. And if I didn't have like the money from my car, like I wouldn't have anything right now. Like it just wouldn't like the way that how much my blog has grown so much that in such a short amount of time, it like still amazes me till this day, because you know, I was able to do this because I didn't have an actual job. I pretty much like devoted like full time to my blog, and like even now, like after Comic-Con, I'm such a weirdo. Like after Comic-Con, it's like I'm a workaholic slash, like either I'm a workaholic or I'm just like super lazy and I don't do anything at all. Like there's no middle ground.
It's like
And
no
so,
work past till noon, and then just give up for the rest of the day. Like
yeah.
that's what I used to do though. When I was building my companies, literally, I would like, okay, you know what? I don't even feel like doing this, so I'm giving it till noon, because no, for real, because you have to give yourself some kind of thing. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to do video games for this portion, because you know you do what you want when you do nothing. But when you do something, like when you work, like you're talking about, I had an experience where I lost 2 uncles and my son, all within pretty much months of each other, right? And that's, like you said, very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Very, very, very difficult, right? So sometimes you just don't deal with it. Sometimes you're like, all right, it happened. You know, and then because you don't want to actively outwardly be like, God, come on, what's happening, man? What's up? Right? So you don't want to take that approach, because then you feel like I'm gonna be such a heathen. You're like, so you're like, so what you do is just like, well, you know, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. I mean, come on, my life sucks anyway. You know, blah blah, right? Because you know we get to our life sucks points. We do. We literally on our timeline of our life we have suck points. and those are the moments when you're like, okay, what am I gonna do? Now, you did the exact same thing I did when my wife quit my job for me. Right? I sat there like, what do I do now? That's where the first company was built. But I didn't plan on devoting that much time to it. I just all of a sudden had time, and I didn't want nobody who I was living with to tell me I was lazy. Do something. So yeah. So far you're right on course, dear.
Yeah, it's been really tough because, like, even after, like, I don't know why I thought, like, I've devoted like a lot of time to this Comic-Con thing, expecting like something to come out of it. And nothing really did. And then, I mean, it's only been like a day, obviously. But
Girl.
I know I'm so impatient, and it's like I just
Oh,
feel I had like a talk with Daniel, and I was like, man, now I have like nothing to look forward to because I'm so like I was so like in work mode, and all of a sudden like not having anything to work on. It's like I don't know. I think one of the problems is like I put my value in my work, which is, not that great. No. So,
oh, we all do it, then. We all do it. Like, I mean, shoot, you don't even like. You can be known all over. Like, literally, like right now, people could type INNERMIX in, right? I'm gonna talk about myself. People could type it like from the moment we got started and we built a lot of this stuff. We had the things would be marketed in several different languages, this, that, and the other, right? Then people kept asking me, well, when you guys gonna do concerts? When you gonna be doing shows? When you gonna be doing shows? This, that, and the other. After a while, I started asking myself, when are we gonna do shows? How come we ain't doing shows? Like, does our music suck? It's like, what's going on, right? Am I the only one who likes what we do? Like, right? It's like, so I'm listening, and I'm like, am I putting too much value in what I think of myself based on what I think I should be doing versus based on what I'm actually doing?
mm,
And what am I looking forward to? Should I be looking forward to what they tell me I should look forward to, or should I be looking forward to the next challenge for me?
mhm.
Because my thing has always been, okay, if Jules is upset, it upsets me, right? Because that's my partner. If my wife is upset, that upsets me because that's my partner. And the thing is, if they're getting attacked with the same questions from both sides and they both telling me about it, well, now, doggone, I got to come up with a solution because ain't nobody talking to my girls that way. That's just not happening. It can't. So, but then I realized I tried to force things into a particular time frame so that they wouldn't have to be asked these questions all the time, right? And when I did that, it was out of God's timing because I wanted them to be happy as opposed to waiting for God to reveal what his plan was for everything. Because I was like, well, I know how to do it. So then I would create a timeline, and then I say, well, we can technically do this in this amount of time. But then nobody had time to do these things. My wife couldn't take me to such and such. Jules had, all this other stuff that she was doing at the time. So then I took it as that's my fault it didn't work, right?
Why?
So again, because I'm dumb. No, because no.
Yes.
Because
You
I
said
put
it.
my value because I put my value in the work. I knew that the plan technically would work, but I also didn't. So if it did work, then great, and I'd be like, this worked because of who my wife and Jules are, because I'm just the brain, but they are the they're these moving
I had
pieces.
no idea your wife was getting attacked with the same thing.
All the time. But
This is
the
the first
difference
time you
is,
told me this.
oh yeah, well I gotta deal with my. See, the difference between the way people talk to you and the way they talk to my wife is they talk to you like they would talk to me because you're the artist. They talk to my wife with that backhanded, discussion. So, and then she's practicing not actually backhanding. So she'd be like, I just can't stand when this person, I won't say who, I can't stand when they just talk to me this way. You know what? You talk to them, because I can't even talk to them. I don't refuse to talk to them. I'm like, they ain't bugging me. They're bugging you until you get comfortable and confident in who you are, no matter what happens. Until you're confident and comfortable with who you are and where you are, then you're always going to be waving back and forth with what the people say. And this wasn't even that long ago. We had this discussion, and she said, you know what? You're right. Because I'm tired of being emotionally, basically, she said, I'm tired of being so emotional about things that people are asking me because I'm watching what you guys do, but then I can't believe that they would have the nerve to even ask me this because they don't understand what you guys do. Then how she goes on from there.
Yes.
They don't know. Yeah, they don't know. And she gets so emotional. I'm like, baby, calm down. They didn't shoot me. But we put so much value in our work. Like, I would take everything that happened with Intermix, if it was negative, I took it personal. I took it all personal. Everything that happened negative with DEF CON 1, even though Definitive Concepts, DEF CON 1, and the massage company, I recognize were built so that I would learn how to do what I do here, right? And that's a combined 10, 12 years of training before we even started Intermix or something like that. So that's a long time to not make no money but work with a lot of people on stuff.
Yep.
That's a long time. But in biblical standards, that's really not that bad because, but no, I started reading some stories. I'm like, you know what? I'm cool. Lord, do your thing. Because Zerubbabel building that temple 17 years without no work getting done. I'm good. Well, at least we working. At least we doing something. You know. I mean, oh man, Maggie, like when you're a creative person, it's hard to separate the work you do from your value. It's hard because you feel like it's a piece of who you are. And then,
but technically, it is a piece of who you are.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. But the piece that it's coming from is the piece that all of you is made up to look like God. Beautiful man, you know. But He also gives you this desire, but He never tells you where He's taking you with this desire. All He says is, I'm giving you the desires of your heart, and now I'm going to perfect this thing in you. But this is more. But you are more than this skill set. Just like being a prophet or an evangelist, or you are more than this thing. But if you only see yourself as this thing, then this thing is going to become your God. It does. So like singers, they're known for their voices, so they believe that their voice is everything. That's how come I used to love singer battles. I'm about to show you who I am.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I can smash you, because all my value was in people going crazy for me singing. That was all my shoot. So to go from that to say, you know what, I sing now because it brings me peace and it brings me joy and it brings joy to those around me, and I can tell stories that affect people's lives in a positive way, or at least let them know that this does not have to be the outcome of your situation, stuff like that. But took a minute. and just to give you an idea, Maggie, I started my first company when I was 27 years old. So you're right on course. You're not off course at all. I mean, one day I got to bring my other business partner on here so you can hear the other stories, because all you hear right now are the stories that happened with me and Jules. You never heard the pre-Jules, okay? Oh, yeah. The pre-Jules stories, like models getting naked in the woods to save money on. Because somebody told them that was the way to go, or I mean,
we have a lot of naked model stories. Remember the one behind the wall?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, or when I was, we had a whole city shut down downtown for us. We were, in our minds, we were nobodies, but we were the first positive company doing stuff with young talent in our area, right? And they shut down City Hall for us so that we could use it for part of the photo shoot. They shut down the baseball stadium for us so that we could use that as a backdrop, right? I mean, and they gave us everything we wanted. But when I sent out, now mind you, we did all this for a particular group of girls who didn't even show up. Okay? Oh my God. No, because our partner Charles wanted to help some people further their modeling career. That's why we got the modeling stuff in the first place. So we were like, we're gonna help you out. We did all this, flew a photographer in from Florida. Crap. Then so we did what we could do, and all this stuff. The girls said, oh, you know what? I broke up with my boyfriend. I don't think I can do it. I'm just so depressed.
Oh my gosh.
Dude already had a plane ticket. You see what I'm saying? So we had to do something. we had already paid him, to come out and everything. So when I think about that, sometimes I just go back. But that's how I met that DJ that wants to work with us, was through that whole situation. But anyway, DJ Smooth. So So I had to put out a call for new models. Never done that before because I was never thinking about working with models. We were only working with singers. I had to learn how to do it. I had to do it quickly. I put out a call for models. No one had ever prepared me for what happens when you put out a call for models for glamour stuff, right? Good Lord. The first group of pictures came in, submissions. Like 94% of them were naked. I'm looking at this, and so I'm opening my email, like, okay, babe, the submissions came in. I'm excited. My wife is like, okay, cool, let's see what happened. Let's see what came in. I opened the first picture. She said, oh, she's cute. But that one had clothes on. I go to the next one. She's like, can I read your ad again? We went to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and she's like, they're all naked. and now
are they that poor they can't afford clothes?
She was like, did you say, are you guys doing a nude shoot? What is this? And I said, back in the day they used to say the girl was naked because she was wearing a really skinny bikini. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then so I sent a copy of all the submissions to my partner because we had to go through the submissions and figure out what we're gonna do about these naked pictures coming in because that wasn't the kind of company we running, right? So he opened up the pictures and his wife said, "Oh hell no, no, you can't have that up in here, like that ain't gonna happen." So he called me and said, "D, you got to go through these photos and then figure it out." I said, "Well, me and my wife will go through them." He said, "She saw them?" I said, yeah, she over here right now picking through the ones that she think might work. She said, look, you deal with all the models. I ain't dealing with no models. He said, I want to stay married. But yeah, but it was a huge event. Everybody was talking about it in the newspaper and everything. Huge event. But we had to go through all that craziness just for that. And then out of that situation, turned out that a few of them were actually strippers, and then some of them had past that needed to be cleaned up. So we cleaned up their past because, they did more than strip, stuff like that. So, and I'm still 27, 28 when this stuff is going on. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't never dealt with this stuff before. I thought this industry had something together, something. I spent the first year of my business with Charles cleaning up after his inability to understand people that he was talking to. Mm-hmm. He was burning bridges. I was fixing them. I was right behind him with the hammer. And I'm sorry, man. I didn't know that it was. we were laughing about that just a couple days ago. Oh, so you right on course, dear. You ain't. Actually, you're doing better than most in your position.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit better.
Oh, no. I bet you if you talk to some people that I talk to that are your age and higher, you'd be like, man, I am doing okay, But what's your next goal? What do you want to do next?
Me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Come on.
I mean, so the reason why I started fashion blogging wasn't because like I wanted this fame or like free clothes that everybody has of like misconceptions of fashion bloggers. I really wanted it because like I am passionate about clothes and I do like blog about costume design too. But more than that, it was because costume designing wasn't making enough money. Right. And like to me, what like the ideal job, like ideal part-time job is blogging because I can blog whenever, like I can blog at 3 a.m. or I can blog after a film shoot. I can blog whenever. And I can put it on hold. I can, pick it back up whenever. And it's just like a good part-time job to have. And so like it's not, my goal isn't to be like the next big fashion blogger or whatever. My goal is to design clothes for, whether it is, I don't know where God is leading me. All I know is it's through clothing. Whether it is through fashion design or costume design, I want to be able to tell a story with clothing, and that's why I love costume designing so much, because instead of using paint, you're using clothing to tell a story about a person's background, character, everything. And the flip side of fashion, instead of fashion designing, is being able to help and encourage women who feel bad about themselves, and to go and I was kind of styling for a little bit in LA, and a lot of women have like self-esteem issues, and they just feel like, oh, I don't know how to dress myself. I just have to spend a lot of money on buying like nice things or whatever, and that'll make me feel better. But like actually going through people's closets, it's actually almost like therapy for them, because I get to talk to them, get to know them, and try to encourage them in a way where it makes them feel good about themselves, that as long as you feel good about yourself, you're going to look like $1,000,000 no matter what. If you feel crappy, even if you put on like Chanel, like you're still gonna look crappy, because you just don't feel that way and you don't feel beautiful. And that's something like long run wise, like that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to help women who have a hard time dealing with self-esteem issues and stuff like that. But right now, I just don't really know where God wants me to be. I have no idea.
Well, I will tell you this. What you just described in the last section of everything you were saying, well, no, I'm particularly focusing on that because I heard the exact same thing from somebody looking for someone who was looking to do that. And they were designing but it was a TV show. And it was specifically designed around INNERMIX.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And that was a very active component of it. So, Jules, remember that?
Better?
No, I do completely, because she's basically saying the exact word that I said before. This is something that I had thought about a long time ago. Well, not that long ago.
We were talking about it like last year, so it wasn't that long.
I had created like this idea of like what I wanted to do. It was like an online thing, and it was basically exactly what you said, because a lot of women don't know how to dress for their body type.
Yeah.
It's not, they just think, oh, if I'm skinny, then I'm gonna look good in everything.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, just because. And what I noticed recently, I don't know why, it just really dawned on me, is like, because unfortunately, I sometimes do it too. When people say, "Oh, you look skinny," when did the word skinny become a compliment? Like as opposed to you look good or you look beautiful or whatever. Whenever girls say this to each other all the time. You look like you lost weight or you look skinny. It's like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah,
when did that become such a compliment? Like
when I come from, you say you look thick. People are like, oh, okay.
but Maggie and I, we work in fashion too, and that's like the thing. Whenever people say you look skinny, it's a positive thing. But so. No matter what body type you are, no matter what size you are, no matter what how your body shape might be, how to dress for that. Just because it looks good on one person does not mean that it's gonna look good on this person, and vice versa. So I wanted to create some kind of online site that helps show with different body types and what kind of clothing will look good on them, kind of like an avatar type thing.
That would be amazing.
I don't know how to create it. I'm not, I don't know, but this is something that we talked about in the past. In the future, I would like that to be, developed somehow.
What I'm going to do is two things. One, I will let everybody know that the idea that Jules is talking about has already been taken care of legally. So good luck with that. But there's actually more to this, because I've worked with a group who loved it because I'm a life coach, and they really appreciate, the life coaching aspect of what we do as INNERMIX and what I do, whether I'm getting paid for it or just sitting on the phone. Okay, didn't know I was life coaching until they started talking to me. But what I'll do is we have someone coming to town very soon, and I'm going to see if, since you're up north, for him to jump on a plane and go up north is nothing. But I'm going to see if we can set up something so you can actually sit and talk with him, because everything you're describing, without me going through all the legal aspects of it, everything you're describing has been talked about before, and it's something that but it's more than what you're describing. I'll put it like that. Like it reaches more, and it reaches, and it helps more. Like if I took what I'm sorry, this happens to me all the time. Y'all have to excuse me for a minute. If I took what you're talking about and took what Jules is talking about and mixed it with the things that I know is going on in business right now, then everybody be happy.
Yeah.
Because you're a run, put my hands on it, help you in the moment person. Jules is, how can I make this work for the most amount of people with the least amount of time?
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? She's my favorite. Like I told somebody the other day, Jules reminds me of Scrooge McDuck because I remind me of Scrooge McDuck. And they're like, what does that mean? And then one person knew what it meant: work harder, work smarter, not harder.
That's very good, actually.
Yeah, but then some people, like the other part of me, where am I from today? The other part of me is a lot like you, but I have to be there in the presence of the person so that they understand that they're not doing this wrong, that they, blah, blah. You mix it all together, you have an incredible experience for people, but there's more to it. I just don't want to discuss these things on this live broadcast, but there's a lot that you guys are talking about. And when it was brought up by someone, I can't remember if it was at the end of last year or earlier this year, and but it might just be a good phase to go into. It takes a while to develop something like that, but it's something that can actually be done. And because I even know where to go get the site developed. So you see what I'm saying? So it's it's a great idea, and so you're not off, but you needed time to discover.
Yeah.
Discovery time. Let me tell you something about creative people on discovery time. We hate it. Absolutely. I hate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
With a passion. It sucks. I'm in discovery time right now. I feel like I'm in a timeout. I sit at my computer to get work done, and then my wife will come up and say, "What are you doing?" And I'll say, "I'm working on the next thing for INNERMIX." She says, "But until you do this thing with INNERMIX, you can't work on the next thing for INNERMIX because you don't know what your contracts are going to say about this thing. So what are you going to do? So how can you work for the next thing?" I said, well, I need to be doing something. She said, well, then pray. but she said, but what else can you possibly do? And I said, well, and now here's something. I said, well, one thing that God's been doing with INNERMIX, whether we like it or not, He wants us to own it all so that we can do quality control of everything we do. In the beginning, I was really like, yeah, that sounds great. To own it all means a lot of times you started off by doing it all.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard an amen to that. It's going to be a black church up in here in a minute. It's going to be like, amen, hallelujah. Oh, you heard me, brother. Say it, preach. Jules is the one in the back like, church. And she sits back down. But no, I was about to say no, but for real talk though. No, but no, we hate the discovery time, but we love what we discover. We think about, okay, you love clothing, fashion, and you're discovering yourself in that. Not just that you have the skill for it, but who you are when you're dealing in it. What the ministry is that you do when you're dealing with it, right? But it's that discovery process, right? Now, that's clothing, right? Jules and I, we have music. We have big hosts. Now, mind you, we get a discovery period for all these things: music, host, performance, acting.
Good times.
Each section has its own discovery period. Right. Is this what you really want to be doing? Well, but how do you feel about doing this aspect of it? What about this aspect of it? Well, I kind of like them all. See, this is the discussions I have with myself. But should I be doing them all? Because I should really be doing this over here. Let me do this over here.
You should just focus on one. Don't do all of it. Yeah.
Okay, the moment you stop doing as soon as you start focusing on one, the other ones show up like, where you been? How come you ain't talking to me no more? Do you feel complete without me? I feel like Meg talking to Brian. Can you feel me, Brian? Do you feel?
Oh, are you talking about Family Guy?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know, sometimes I swear that's what the singing's doing to me. Sometimes singing's like, "Do you feel me, D? Do you feel me in you?" You know, the acting coach in me is like, "Do you feel me, D?" I'm not being dramatic. I'm being real. This is me being real. You know, like I'm like, oh my god. The massage therapist in me, the medical part of me is like, come on now. We ain't done this in a minute. Where you at? You know, and all these parts of you as a creative person need to get out. They will not stay contained. You will try to force them to stay contained by trying to be idle or trying to be whatever, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, I feel like something's missing. What am I going to do? And then you sit down and you look at your screen and you're like, I don't even know. Then you start looking at all the people you were looking at when you got inspired the first time. You're like, well, I could do that. And I can do that better now than I could back then when I was watching this stuff.
Mm.
You know, it's going back to the beginning of what inspired you is what gets you through the beginning of your day. When I had to do all the research to start my companies, most boring time. But then I got super excited because then I found somebody who went through the same crap I was going through and said something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they said, now try this. Then when that doesn't work, now you know it doesn't work for you either. But there were so many things. And after a while, you find people who will just tell you, yeah, it's hard, but it's so worth it. Mm-hmm. And they'll tell you, like, the moment you start to try to, you know, someone told me back in the day, one of my mentors told me, they said, trying to basically sit on your abilities that God has given you, sit on your dream, your passion, your whatever. Trying to crush that down to satisfy everybody else's goals for your life is like quenching the Holy Spirit. And God tells you not to quench the Holy Spirit. So what makes you think that he used the Holy Spirit to improve the natural gift he gave you? Because that Holy Spirit is him. Why would you want to crush the Lord?
Right.
I was like, man, you took it from this to now I'm sitting here crushing, like, got you. You know, like, you know, so Daddy's like, no, just get inspired again. Go do something that's going to inspire you. And then, you know, and I'll tell you that getting a partner that knows nothing about the business you do sometimes is very helpful because now you're teaching somebody else why you love what you do. Because my partner, as much as we've bumped heads from time to time, not this one, the other one, you know, every time I sit down and just talk to him he'll call me out of the blue sometimes just checking on me, see how things are going with INNERMIX and all that. And I remember why I partner with him. It's because he knows how to talk to me, and as opposed to just saying, what's next? But then if I ask him to market the business that we actually have together, he's like, oh, talk to D. Mm-hmm. So he's really there more for me than the business, but sometimes that's what you need, you know. And that's fine, you know. If you're the vision, that's why I say you're doing better than most, because most people would have kicked their feet up, put a video game or a movie on, and said, call me when someone comes to my door asking for my help. Yeah. You know. So you're doing good. That's why I'm encouraged when I watch your stuff. When I look at you, it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging. And you know
what's going on in the inside.
Oh no, I know perfectly well what's going on in the inside. That's why I'm encouraged. I've been there. Like, I'll call Jules out the blue just on some random stuff, you know, and I know perfectly well what's going on. But whether she chooses to tell me about what's going on is something totally different. You see what I'm saying? Because you know, the moment you start letting stuff out with somebody who's actually gone through the stuff, you actually start to feel a little bit better because you're not going through it like, oh, I'm going through all this by myself. You know, whereas, so I'm that person who, and it's just one of those things. It's a really gift God gave me. I'll look at somebody's writing, or I'll look at something that's going on online, and I can pretty much tell you this is what's going on in their life, and this is what they're going through, but they're gonna make it through. You know, but I love writers. I love creative people. I love looking at and watching these. And I like watching people grow. And the growing process is, you know, it hurts. The growing pains. But you're going through at 28 what a lot of people go through, like nowadays, at 37. better just to get it out the way, you know? Can you imagine being 37 and being, see, then you'd be like, wow, what's going on with my life, you know? And then, so it's a whole different kind of inspiration they need, you know? And then, not that 37 is that old. It's just like, I mean, when people look into their past, they'll realize that there are great people that they admire, like Samuel L. Jackson or other like famous people who didn't even get their first start till they were 45 years old. But they pursued their passion. You know, they worked jobs, but they pursued their passion so that when that door opened for their passion, they would be ready for it. And he stepped through that door at the right time. You know, it was the right time for him. And he even tells you, he's like, he's been an actor all his life, but he was doing community theater until he got a chance to do something else. But, you know, so you might be designing for, you know, you might be going to help friends out on, you know, on their shows. You might be going to design an outfit for somebody who can only afford to pay you a little above the outfit. But are you doing it for the passion? Because you can always go get a job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the passion for the clothes, like when your clothes become your job, it's no longer fun. When your passion for clothes, just like singing. When singing was my job, it wasn't as much fun as it is for it to be something that I do because I love it. You know, when somebody's telling you and yelling at you because you're being too creative with something that but they came to you because you are creative, and they tell you don't be creative, right? That would just suck. You know? You'd be telling their story, but they don't like their story, so they want you to change it. Happens all the time. But when you start doing it because when you do it because you don't have to, but because you want to, oh, it's great. And actually, you work harder doing it, but you love every minute of it. You know, I've never worked as hard as I work now, ever. I've never worked as hard as I work right now, and I love every moment of it. But I started right around the age you were. So you good? No, actually, I think I was like 26. So 26. So yeah, it was because it took me a year to convince somebody to partner up with me in the first place. So because I didn't know nothing. All I wanted to do was sing. That's how come I understood Jules so well. All she wanted to do was sing. When we met, that's all she wanted to do was sing.
Yep.
She reminds me of
part of me still does.
Yeah. She reminds me of that from time to time, you know, but not with her words. No, it's the eyes and the body language.
Yeah.
So,
I must sing. Let me sing. Guys will sing.
Yeah, but then watch somebody try to take acting away from her, and that'd be.
I just want to act. Just let me act.
Oh man. So
anyway,
you guys, I don't even know how long we've been on this show, but
an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh.
Actually,
well,
sorry, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
For real?
Wow.
It's 11:20.
Wow. Well, it's cool because we're talking to Maggie.
Yes.
But I'm still so. But my last question for you, then, Maggie, since we've already put all this time in, is so you're, like you said, you're either all the way on or all the way off. Where are you now?
I'm probably like all the way off because I have nothing to. It just sounds so bad. I have nothing to look forward to right now. Yeah. There was
How do you quantify something to look forward to? What do you have to have in place for you to look forward to it?
like a project. I know it sounds so almost superficial, but in like a
Girl, I work with you. What you talking about? That one right there. You see on that screen, hair up in the no.
What? What?
Well, I don't. It's like right now. I had to. Well, like I couldn't. I didn't really want to work like and just settle for like a regular job, because technically I can get like a graphic design job really easily, but that just like closes a lot of doors for me because that means I have to work full time. So right now I'm actually working part-time waitressing at a sushi restaurant,
Uh-huh.
which I really hate because I hate, I don't know, people are mean sometimes.
And that sister.
and and it's kind of like a pride check too because like I went to grad school and I'm working with these other kids who are like in their early 20s who are just entering school, just they're like, what the heck are you doing here kind of thing. um but other than that, like I have another person that like is really interested in working with me, but we just couldn't find the right like wholesale partners to launch his company, so that's like on hold. Um, and then like I just don't. I feel like I don't. It sounds really bad, but I feel like there's no meaning to what I'm doing right now because I have like nothing going on. Well, I mean, I have a project in October. It's for a AFI film.
Mhm.
But that's pretty much it. That's like in 2 months, 3 months. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm just so like I just want to be a workaholic and I don't
Oh
have
no, I
anything
understand
going on.
completely. But no, I understand. I am a workaholic. Trust me, I understand. Um, who? But that one,
What?
and that you and
What? What did y'all say? What? You don't like my bun? What?
oh my God. You know, when I signed Jules, Jules had just turned 26. Just to give you an idea, right? We
Uh-huh.
don't tell on Jules. What you're saying right now reminds me of her back then,
Mhm.
and the conversation has changed over the years, but the meaning is still there. The meaning behind the things has not changed, except for the fact that the only difference that has the major difference, because and my wife brings this up to me all the time, the major difference, because she watches everybody, is that Jules learned to trust God with her time.
Mm.
You know, and any time that Jules starts to get onto her own time schedule, God checks her,
Mhm.
right?
Yep, real hard,
Yeah,
like
real
hockey
hard.
style. Yeah.
I just pictured you flying into the glass
My bad, God. My
with,
bad.
with that bud. She's like, "No, you gonna sit in that timeout?" But I want to play. Sit down. but but we all go through it. That's why I think it's you're like when I say this, I'm not saying it just because it sounds cool. You're really right where you're supposed to be right now. I've been pride checked. Oh God, so many times, and it doesn't stop. By the way, just to let you know,
Nope.
it
I'm
doesn't stop.
sure.
It does not stop. When you master this area, there'll be another area. Now that we've gotten you past this, now let's talk about this over here.
I
And then
know.
you know what I'm saying? So because eventually God is going to have you, no matter which direction you turn, be like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Can you picture that? You know, like no matter what's going on or not going on, you're like, it's all good. And you still stay motivated to do what you love to do anyway.
Mhm.
That I couldn't even picture that when I was 28. So I was always creating my own projects. But, you know, and that was before we had YouTube, the internet, and all that kind of stuff that was really popping off like that. Couldn't even sell music like I know it sounds like I'm sound like I'm old, no not. But you couldn't even sell music online at that time yet. Not really. So
Mm.
you were still selling CDs and handing out CDs and hope people pick up your CD and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of footwork. So, but no, I'm just curious. So, because the only thing that I want you to work on is to find something to look forward to, even when other people aren't bringing it to you.
Mm.
Because that's the key to doing this thing that you love to do. That way, this job does not suck your soul dry.
Me waitressing?
Trust me on that one. Job does not suck your life or your soul dry. That seriously, oh Lord. And you know, it's. I think you have to. 'Cause I know that from experience so well, because I have had a job that sucked me dry to the teeth, like to the bones. And to the point where I would get like nervous breakdown and wake up in panic because something that had to do with work, and just because of my anxiousness and anxiety attacks and whatever. And then and it would clash with everything INNERMIX related. It would clash with everything. Like it would make me question, why am I pursuing, you know, this creative side. So many different things. It just made me like a nervous wreck and stressed me out to no end. My body was in shambles because of it. Until I literally had to say, God, you know, it's also because I was on my own time schedule. Like, I need to do this by this time. Why am I still at this job? I need to be able to, like, I should be, you know, doing full-on INNERMIX everything right now by this point. I should be able to quit my job and do this, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happened. So it would make me crazy until I said, okay, God, it's your timing. It's whatever you want me to do. Maybe I haven't finished what I'm supposed to finish at this location, at this job, at, you know, the people that are in this job with me. Maybe I'm supposed to do something with their lives or help them or have some kind of influence here. Maybe that's the reason why I'm still where I am. And maybe I still have more learning to do before I get to what you promised me, because I will probably screw that up, or like maybe I'm not ready yet. You know, until I started thinking that way and just being more positive about where I am, that made me enjoy my time more, enjoy my surroundings more, be able to create more networking that way also, like just because I'm in a better mood or a better positive attitude. I started to not get panic attacks at night. I started to not, literally every time the phone rang, it didn't even matter who it was, I would like be in shambles, like, oh my God, what did I do wrong this time? You know, it was to that point because I got yelled at so much for no reason. And then until I started to just be cool with it, the less they bothered me. Now, you know, like it came to like where the work actually became a more friendly environment. You know, it just became a better working place experience and less stress on that part, and more I was able to give attention to other things that needed attention too. And more I was able to focus on my goals, my career goals, INNERMIX stuff, like, you know, all those things in my personal life. I was able, you know, so I think, and the whole, like, you know, the age, especially with women, the whole age thing is such a huge deal, you know, and, but I was taking that to a whole other degree with my younger sister being married before me. She's about to have a child, you know, all these things. I still get talked to about it all day long, every day. But until I said, you know, it's not up to me, it's not my timeline, it's all you got. Like, it's however you plan things to be, however you see, you know, best fit for me, for my life, whatever it is that you have in plan. I'm just going to do the work that is in front of me right now. And whatever it is that you give to me right now, I will work at it. And yes, you know, for future, I still think about them and I still plan for them. But if it doesn't happen the way I want it to, because it never does, like, I will roll with the punches and I'll go with it, and I just keep pushing and I keep pushing. And that made me so much less stressed and so much less anxious, and less body aches. I mean, I still have body aches because I tend to store a lot of stress without me thinking about it. But what was that for? What for the homies? Anyway, but yeah, I think being prayerful really helped me and keep my sanity. So, but and I agree with Dee all, you know, 100%. I think maybe this is your time God's giving you to put into your craft to kind of build that foundation. Like your blog blossomed so much in like such a short period of time. Your artwork is amazing. Like people are, I'm totally like where I'm gonna buy, and I know people who are like, oh my gosh, she needs to make my Halloween costume. I'll pay her. I know so many people. So like, you know, that maybe that's a business, a side business that you might have. Who knows? But you know, I think the more you're able to like expand your ground right now, and then when things pop up, you'll have a bigger foundation. You'll have a bigger fan base to do whatever it is that you want to do. And so maybe this time God's giving you to like do the groundwork, you know, do the foundation part. And so I think enjoy this time. It's gonna get crazier. It's only gonna get busier and crazier. So enjoy this time. And that's what
I know I need to tell somebody.
I know I need to know that too. You never told me that. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway.
Maggie, she listens to me.
I don't listen to you. I don't listen to you. None of the things you say.
Oh my God, I can't believe. Oh, my dreams have come true. I just don't even know what else to say. Yes, I do. We're not scary. No, but.
That's so funny.
But let me tell you that the way things come are not always the way you plan them to come, like Jules said. The thing is like, you know what gave me the idea for my business? The first one, and pretty much how I sustained the other ones? Video games and movies.
Mm-hmm.
Video games and movies. I can sit down and play a video game and come up with a strategy for marketing INNERMIX product. And I'll sit there and walk my wife through it. And she's like, how did that happen? God deals with me this way. This is just how he deals with me. He might come to you through the blogging, through watching other stuff that you do. But me, I'm not going to look at my screen that long because like my computer's going to be talking to me in the same voice at the same tone. I'm not going to do it like you. You know what I'm saying? But I can literally sit down and watch a movie and come up with a strategy that is unique to INNERMIX. So that way we're not competing with anybody but ourselves, and it works. So and that's why I love because I heard this recently again too, and I'm like, oh, something's up. When God's, you know, when you hear about the unconventional healing, God will heal something in your life. He will help you deal with the things that are hurting you, and he will heal. I know specifically what he was talking about when I heard it recently, but he will heal things, but in a very unconventional way. So don't look for the convention, because the conventional way of getting your sight back in the day was it didn't come back. Then Jesus laid hands on one person, his sight returned. But then there was another dude. Jesus spits into the mud and rubs it in his eye. Said, "See me? See me now?" The guy had to. Not only did he get his eye healed, his vision healed, but he had to go. It didn't actually heal until he went to wash out the mud from his eye, and everything came back into where it needed to be. There are things going on in our lives individually that we feel like, man, I'm supposed to get the healing this way. This is how it happened for them. I'm supposed to get ahead this way. This is how it happened for them. But God is going to, I'm telling you, this dude wanted his sight back, wanted his ability to see what's coming up in front of him so much that he was willing to let somebody spit on the floor and rub it in his eye. You know what I'm saying? When God is dealing with you, some people have, because this guy went off and told the people about what Jesus did for them, where the other guy, he just went off. You see what I'm saying? Because he got what he wanted, he was gone. But there is a particular type of healing that God is doing in a lot of people's lives right now, and it requires that you allow him to do the thing that makes you feel the most uncomfortable. Sometimes he'll send somebody else to do this thing for you, and sometimes he'll just let you sit there and he'll do it himself. Right? Now, for those people who, and I even learned that when God sends somebody to you, it's because you don't want nobody to do this. Just like when he sent Paul to get the healing from Silas, I believe was his name, right? And I almost said Cyrus from So You Think You Can Dance. But anyway, from Silas, right? And because Silas didn't want to do it, because he's like, no, I feel very uncomfortable with this situation. This ain't the situation I want to be in, blah, blah. Paul was like, I don't really want this, why am I going to him? I was on my way to kill this dude. Why am I going to him now? He was not very comfortable with the idea either, but he wanted his sight back. He wanted to be able to see. And in the whole experience, the guy that didn't want to be in the uncomfortable situation ended up teaching Paul all the things that he ended up having to learn about Jesus and who he was so that he can go out and teach others. Mm-hmm. So not everything is going to be the way you want it, but it's going to be the best thing for you. And I found that in my life, I usually end up being that person who is the very uncomfortable person, have to do the uncomfortable things, so that the person who's actually got the ministry is going to take off and be like, hey, let me tell you about what the Lord did for me. You know what I'm saying? But I've been trained in all those different areas, just like Silas was the one holding all the Bible studies and doing all that stuff. I have this incredible memory, and I have all these skill sets, but I never get to use them for me. I realize that. I never get to use these skill sets for me, except for the martial art one. That one I get to use for me. But everything else is meant to get God's people ready to go do what He's called them to do. So as a massage therapist, I have training to do things that most people cannot even do. And then by the time you add the anointing of God, it's like, oh my God, did they really just, wow. That's incredible. I've seen miracles happen, that have just boggled my mind. My mind is pretty, I've seen God take somebody in your position, and then 2 years later, they're talking about, I don't know what to do with all this work. I need help. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it. I was in that position. Our first account that tried to come work with us, we were too small to deal with, and we didn't even know how to get the help we needed, and it was with J-Lo. Mm-hmm. What? We were just trying to this was at a convention. You know what I'm saying? I was like 28, 9 at the time, so I'm like, Charles, what are we going to do? I don't know. I didn't think this would happen. That was his response to it. That seems to be his natural response to a lot of stuff. But I didn't think this would happen. I didn't know. What are we going to do? We couldn't do it because it was just too much for us to do at the time. But you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of opportunities and things out there, but you got to stay motivated. Mm-hmm. And dealing with rude people and all that kind of stuff, girl, it's going to happen no matter what you do.
That's true.
It's better that you get the training for it now, so that when they're doing what you love to do, you're not reaching across the thing with needles in your hand talking about, I got an answer for you. You're not envisioning people like right now you're not sliding them across the table where the sushi's being served. What you say? Oh, I got something for you. No. No, don't even worry about that poisonous fish over there. Let's just give it to him as is. Don't even worry about it. They'll probably cancel each other out. That one's so poisonous. So don't worry about it. Enjoy your experiences, because your experiences will tell stories that people will learn to enjoy. Okie dokie.
Yes.
So now you can call me. You have my number.
Yep.
Don't let your pride get in your way.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys do that exactly the same way. That is so weird.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like, yeah, good God, like, oh my goodness, you're just a young Jules. If you don't call me, call her. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after you call her, call me back.
Okay. For sure. All the time in the world right now.
Well, I will be calling you anyway about the other thing we talked about earlier on the show. But anyway, you guys have a great night. This has been funny.
It's been a long show. Sorry, but not sorry.
Because we gone for 2 weeks. So.
All right.
y'all can watch part 1 and part 2. Like, you can just cut it halfway after something and come back, watch it again. We gave you enough material for almost. Wow, if we had gone for 3 hours, you could have had an hour show each. Oh, y'all getting set. You could have took an hour this week, an hour for the next week, and an hour for next week, and you would be like, we never left.
But you can still find us online on Facebook. Just type in INNERMIX.
I ain't going online. No, go ahead. No.
How about that? I will.
Yeah,
And you can find us on Twitter. It's
INNERMIX
INNERMIX_show.
Yeah.
You want to tell them the other ones?
Yeah, sure. You guys can go on Instagram. Y'all can go on Instagram if you want to, but ain't nobody updated a picture on Instagram since they ain't put the Insta in the gram on our page. But anyway, that's INNERMIX 360. And Jules will probably, you know what? We'll probably have Maggie do some posts on our Instagram.
Nice.
I can do that.
Give her something to do.
Give me something to do. I can do that.
Shay, we're gonna do some cross promotion stuff with Maggie so that we can have some fun and so that y'all can start talking about images that y'all see, because we're gonna link all the Instagram photos back to her blog, so you don't think that we up here doing no designing, because now she'll just have the INNERMIX boom stamp of approval. Watch, I'm gonna do that. Boom, like it's gonna be something pop up. Boom. Stamp of approval. But of course there's here, which is Google Plus / INNERMIX
Oh my
show.
God, what's happening? Why are you so slow?
Because I was about to say the whole thing out, like, because I was thinking about it, because I tried putting in what they used to allow to happen, but they made so many changes that now you got to put in the whole URL versus just
Lord.
the Plus INNERMIX show. So for those of you who are watching and are not on Google Plus, but you want to start becoming a person who uses Google Plus, then what you can do is you can type in www.google.com/plus_INNERMIX show. That's what you would have to put in. I'll say that again.
Oh, Lord.
Jules, now you say it. You say it, Jules. It's like a rap.
www.google.com.
That wasn't even W. You didn't even say W. You said www.
Google.com plus INNERMIX show. Is that right?
Yes. See, you forgot the slash, but you got it. But you're good. You're good.
Anyway,
Maggie, do you want to shout out your Instagram, your Twitter, and your
Sure.
Your Facebook.
My Facebook is facebook.com/close to midnight, so it's close to midnight. And then also my Instagram is also the same thing. It's just Instagram/close to midnight. Pretty much you can find me everywhere if you just type in close to midnight. Yeah.
I'm guessing that's the blog.
Yes, close to midnight.com.
There you go. We're gonna get you better at that.
I don't know how to say that without being weird and awkward.
Close to midnight. At least you ain't doing a shake. You be like, close to midnight. Like you could see. There's all kinds of things you could do.
No.
Don't give her no ideas. All right.
Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. This has been fun. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long. Okay. Yeah. Anyway,
you guys
have a good night.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
That's Jules. I'm Simply D.
Bye.
That's Maggie.
Love Maggie.
Love you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.